From the 17th century onward, scholars and Orientalists began to put forth their explanations for the phenomenon of Prester John. Prester John is a phenomenon. Unraveling Prester John's 17th and 18th centuries. Although firmly associated with Ethiopian common parlance, many of these writers posited from having read Marco Polo's travels and other texts that he was a monarch who had once existed in Asia. Which one, Mana? This was an exceedingly common point of view, and a great many therefore attempted to refute the association between Prester John and Ethiopia. Where's Ethiopia? Prester John and Ethiopia have an association. It seems like the Fountain of Youth and this so-called black man also have an association. But of course they were initially looking in Ethiopia, right? Oh man. Oh man. While most of us associate the founder of perpetual youth with the New World, or America, or India's superior, especially Florida, that has only been the case for the last 500 years. For a much longer stretch of history, dating all the way back to the 5th century BC, its home was believed to be Ethiopia. That's weird. You know, they're looking for Prester John in this place called Ethiopia. You know. But somehow in the last 500 years, they started searching in America, right? Got it. A great many therefore attempted to refute the association between Prester John and Ethiopia and explain using Ethiopian linguistics how it all came about. Portuguese missionaries were becoming increasingly familiar with the customs and languages of Ethiopia, and this allowed such linguistic investigations to take place. We know the Portuguese is looking for them. This is a Portuguese monument, Managa, to the seafarers who were looking for him for 500 years. Looking for one man, right? Or they looking for you. And they stopped looking in so-called Africa, so-called Ethiopia over there, only in the last 500 years. Why? Managa. Who did they find in the last 500 years? Managa, they found you. They found us. This is why they stopped looking in 1645. Where were they then, Managa? Where was Charles Kento then popping off? Black King Charles in there. Estebanico in the 1500s. Columbus in them, right? The dog heads, right? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. We're just talking Ethiopia. Did a black man discover the fountain of youth? You know, the goal wasn't always to help liberate the Holy Land, but also to experience this king's secrets of immortality. But where is he, this black man, they say? And why did they change this link up, man? Get out of here, man. They done switched this whole thing up, man. They used to have a beautiful picture of the Prester here. Y'all don't believe me? Y'all don't believe me, man? And it was this picture right here, man. Red Ruddy, Lucky Lamar, what it do? El Prester Juan, Emperado de los Abyssinios. What's an Abyssinio, my nigga? This Naga is the emperor of the Abyssinios. Your last noble image. Hosea 3 and 5. You went a long time without a king. Sacrifices, man, all your sacred things, man, are gone, man. But one day you will return, Israel. You will return, Yasharah. You will return and seek HaWah and we. So why are they calling him El Prester, Emperor de los Abyssinios? Why have they been searching for the Prester in Ethiopia, Managa? What is this connection in Ethiopia? That they're searching for the priest king and, well, they're searching for the fountain of youth. And of course, they're searching for the Prester, right? This association between Prester John and Ethiopia. Clearly, we know that there's a greater Asia at play. But we also got to know clearly what Ethiopia means. Etymology. Latin Ethiopia. From Greek Ethiopia. From Ethiops. From Ethiop. All right, all this is Ethiopia. The native name is Abyssinia. What's in Abyssinia? Abyssinia, old name for Ethiopia. Prester John, Emperor de los Abyssinians. It seems like the old names are connected to old places that are not the current places. Like we're gonna get back into with Japan. Zipangu, Kapangu, City of Gold is not the same Japan it is today, man. That's a different Japan. That's a different Asia. That's a different China. That's a different Tibet. I mean, different Cathay. Hey, it's a different promised land, man. Different Taurus Sancta. Everything's been switched. Everything, even Ethiopia. Because Ethiopia, it's not a place name. It is a general name to describe swarthy Nagas like this. Ethiopia, or Abyssinia, or Abyssinia. Arabic Habasa, the name for the region, said to be from Amharic Habash, or mixed. Okay, mixture. Okay, what do you associate a mixture with? The Prester. When you look at Moshe, did he have a mixed multitude or was it just Israelites? Right. Mixed. What about this Abyssinian, this Prester John of the Abyssinios? Hijack City. Let's get it. All right. I mean, what about this? It's talking about a mixture, right? We're not talking just a racial white and black. We're just talking about tribes, tribals, mixture. Right? We're talking about Kenites, Rechabites, get the drop. Prester John, man, we popping off. Let's just back it up, man. Let's back it up, man. We're going to come back to it. Keep all this at play. Keep it all in mind. Let's just belly flop to Psalms or 2 Samuel 16. Let's belly flop, man. Let's belly flop, man. Verse 5, and when King David came to Bahurim, behold, there came out thence a man of the family of Saul, whose name was Shimei, the son of Gera. He came out and kept on cursing as he came. And he cast stones at David. Oh, they'd be throwing stones, right? Oh, they'd be throwing stones. And that all servants of King David and all the people and all the mighty men were at his right hand and on his left, and thus said Shemai when he cursed, be gone, thou man of blood and base fellow. So this is when Dawid was experiencing the backlash from the transgression, and we still got some investigation to do. Was Khan Dawid a murderer? We know he was a killer because, he's on the battlefield slaying giants, slaying hijacks all day. But was he a murderer? We did some pretty interesting investigation, and some previous drops on that. Love to Mac, you know what I'm talking about. Digging on Lady Hannah and Queen Tamar and a lot of phantoms and duplications. But going with the narrative, he had killed the man, right? Took his wife, Bathsheba, bang, bang. Here comes Solomon, right? So, okay. All right, certain things don't add up, in such a major transgression. How could such a king like Solomon be born out of that union? It seems like there was more to the story. HaWah, verse 8, has returned upon all thee all with the blood, or all the blood of the house of Saul. So this cat from the house of Saul's popping off, right? He's like, man, the Creator's returning all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose stead thou hast reigned. So, man, you took the throne from Saul, and he's all mad at this stuff. And HaWah has determined or delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom your son, and behold, thou art taken in thine own mischief, because thou art a man of blood. So he's just popping off at Dawid. He's cursing, right? This is a curse in his language that he's really putting on Dawid, a negative vibration he's putting on the Khan. Amen. The Khan chose up. Then said Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, unto the king, why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Like any Khan would, like any Khan should, he got a wall of protection. Abishai ain't on no plays. Like, man, this dead dog is over here cursing the king, the Khan. And the Khan said, what have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse. They want to pop off? Let them pop off. It must have been in them already, right? It must have been in their heart bone. It must have been in their spirit, right? So let them curse. Because HaWah has said unto him, curse David, who then shall say, wherefore hast thou done so? And David said to Abishai and to all his servants, behold, my son, who came forth of my body, seek my life. My son seeks my life. Man, I ain't worried about these scoffers. I'm just taking you on a tour in the life of King David, man. His own son is seeking his life based on this, tearing apart of the throne, of the power of the kingdom, based on this transgression that we're still looking into of murder. So David has to pay by eventually, having his son slayed, even though he didn't want his son to be slayed, but his son got slayed, Absalom. Then his firstborn, I believe, which Bathsheba, was also killed, So that's 2 children he lost based on the slaying of this man, Uriel, the Hittite, right? The mighty man, Uriel, right? So, we dug on Uri, and that's a whole nother story, man. Just in your free time, look up Queen Tamar, Lady Hannah, Uri, and the arranged marriage between the two, and just see how the story starts to, compare this Uriel with Khandawi and this Uri with this other David who was linking up with Queen Tamar, my nigga. So, parallel timelines in history. Anatoly for the mango. In that story, David was not a murderer, though. And Yuri was popping off way out of code. So, it gets deep, but let's go. Let's go. So let them alone. Let them curse, man. They want to curse? Let them pop off, man. They want to bear false witness? Let them pop off, man. For HaWah has bidden him. It may be that HaWah will look on my eyes and that HaWah will requite me good for his cursing of me this day. So David said, yeah, obviously he should be slain, you know. But, I'm going to do good. I'm going to fall back and maybe HaWah will give me some type of good for his cursing today. So David and his men went by the way, and Shimei went along the hillside over against him and cursed as he went, threw stones at him, cast dust. He's just popping off, blaming David for taking Saul's throne and all the things. Oh, Saul would have been a better leader, right? Had the roles been reversed. Saul should be king. He's just cursing. He's just popping off. He doesn't know, right? He's throwing stones, casting dust. And the king and all the people that were with him came weary, and he refreshed himself thereof. And Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, came to Jerusalem. All right, so they just popping off. Fast forward to 1 Kings chapter 2. When Dawid is, on his deathbed, they say, right? So now the days of David drew nigh that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man, and keep the charge of HaWah your power, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes, and his commandments, and his ordinances, and his testimonies. KTC alone, according to which is written in the law of Moshe, that thou may prosper in all that you do. Man, we teach the tribe the proper frequency so that all things you do are Baruch. You know what I'm saying? You want to be Baruch, you be in code. You want to build, you build in code. The wave you're swimming in, the frequency you keep, determines the building you're going to do, determines the structure you're going to have. Without this, you have no fortification, no wall of protection. HaWah is real, but the scoffers are being weeded out, man. They can't help it. They cursing, they throwing stones. And yeah, we gave him a pass, but don't think it was really going to rock out like that, right? You don't think HaWah just forgives your scoffing because someone decides to give you a pass. I mean, verse 4, HaWah may establish his word which he spoke concerning me, saying, if thy children take heed to their way to walk before me in truth with all their heart, with all their soul, there shall not fail them, he said, a man on the throne of Israel. So all we had to do, according to this word of David, talking to Solomon, he said, look, I promise you, HaWah will establish his word which he spoke concerning me, saying, if your children take heed to their way to walk before me in truth, not false witnessing, not covetous, no powers before your powers, keeping your Shabbat, no vanity on HaWah's name, no killing your brother, no stealing from your brother, no adultery, my noggin. honoring your father, your mother, your framer, your shaper above, to walk before me in truth with all your heart, with all their soul. There shall not fail thee, he said, a man on the throne of Israel. Moreover, you know also what Joab, the son of Zeruiah, did unto me, even what he did to the two captains of the host of Israel, unto Abner the son of Ner, and unto Amasa the son of Jether, whom he slew, and shed the blood of war in peace, and put the blood of war upon his girdle that was about his loins, and in his shoes that were on his feet. Do therefore according to your wisdom. See, David has a hit list on his way out. He ain't letting no BS slide, man. This ain't no turn the cheek naga right here. You know, David has a special relationship with the frame and shaper. Mama loves Dawid, you know. And he's telling Solomon, look, man, before I go, here's some unfinished business. Joab, take care of that. You know what to do. And let his whore head go down to the grave in peace. But show kindness unto the sons of Barzillai the Gileadite, and let him be of those that eat at my table, or thy table. So they drew nigh unto me when I fled from Absalom your brother. And behold, there is with thee Shimei the son of Gerah. So it's the same jabroni that was cursing the Khan, you know, in his affliction, right? The Benjamite of Baruim, who cursed me with the grievous curse in the day when I went to Manahaim. But he came down to meet me at the Jordan, and I swore to him by HaWah, saying, I will not put thee to death with the sword. Now therefore hold him not guiltless. You know, let's not say he's, you know, free and clear. For you are a wise man, Solomon, and thou wilt know what thou ought to do unto him, and you shall bring his whorehead down to the grave with blood. He didn't give this naga a pass like that. He said, look, I swore I wouldn't put him to death. You do what you gotta do, though. Because his curses, you know, that's something you gotta have to rock out with that. You start cursing the Most High's anointed. You start cursing those the Most High has, you know, literally put on the path of the code and the flow and the water. That's something you're gonna have to live with and you're gonna have to rock with. You know, a Khan might be peaceful. A Khan might do his best to shalom. But at the end of the day, everyone has to, you know, atone for the energy they put out, man. Oh, yeah. And the king sent and called for Shimei and said unto him, build thee a house in Jerusalem and dwell there, and go not forth thence anywhere else, man. For on the day you go out and pass over the brook Kidron, know thou for certain that thou shalt surely die. Your blood shall be upon your own head. And so in the wisdom of Solomon, he said, he put him on house arrest. You leave here, you leave this house, in this city, you leave this house, your blood should be on your own head, your own head bone. And Shimei said unto the king, the saying is good as my lord the king has said, so will your servant do. And he dwelt in Jerusalem many days. Oh, but it came to pass after 3 years, so he was in house arrest for 3 years, man, that two of the servants of Shimei ran away unto Achish, son of Maacah, king of Gath. And they told Shimei, saying, behold, your servants are in Gath. And Shimei arose, saddled his ass, and went to Gath to Achish to seek his servants. And Shammai went and brought his servants from Gash. And it was told to Solomon that Shammai had gone to Jerusalem to God and was coming back. So he was on probation. He didn't tell his PO where he was going. I mean, and the king sent and called for Shammai and said unto them, Did I not make you swear by HaWah and forewarned you, saying, Know for certain that on the day you go out and walk abroad anywhere else, man, you're going to die. And you said to me, the saying is good. I heard it, cool. Why then hast thou not kept the oath of HaWah and the commandment that I have charged you with? The king, said moreover to Shemaiah, Thou know all the wickedness which your heart is privy to, that thou did to my father, to David my father. You know what you did, man, to the Khan. You know what you said about the Khan? Therefore HaWah shall return your wickedness upon your own head. But King Solomon shall be blessed, and the throne of David shall be established before HaWah forever. Hey, man, you better be careful who you scoffing at. HaWah got a way of making you eat your words. And as far as Dawi, as far as Amma, Abba, Proverbs chapter 9, amen. Verse 7, he that corrects a scorner gets to himself shame. I mean, once you know somebody's just, there to hijack the frequency, to be a scorner, to be a scoffer, they don't need no correction. You don't need to work it out, get on the phone and hey, man, this is what they gonna do. It's no point in reproving a wicked man that has wickedness on his heart bone, wickedness on his tongue. It becomes unto him a blot. He's blotted out. Reprove not a scorner, lest he hate you. I mean, that's all you do is create hateful energy, and hateful energy turns a temporary situation into a permanent situation. There's never a need to make a permanent situation out of a temporary situation. You scorn, you could be mad, you could move on with life. Hey, it's temporary. But the hatred you create by even trying to correct this wicked man, reprove this wicked man, reprove not a scorner, because the more you address that scorner, that scoffer, the more that scoffer will just hate you. Imagine if King David had disciplined Shammai, right on the spot. That scoffer would end up hating David. Whereas before, they were scoffing, they were displeased, they felt some type of way, but then it would have turned to hatred and, led to a permanent situation right on the spot. So, at least Solomon gave him an opportunity, gave him a way out, gave him a way to live, but he couldn't keep the oath. Reprove not a scorner, lest he hate you. Reprove a wise man, and he will love you. Don't you see the difference when you correct a wise noggin? How much they love you for it? How much they love the opportunity to get right? Nah, a scorner gonna look back at you. Well, who you think you are? What code you talking about? Why you think you so right? Why you gotta be right all the time? Oh, you must think you got all the drop. Reprove a wise man, and he will love you. Give to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. Teach a righteous man, and he will increase in learning. Managa, I'm going to conserve all my energy to choosing up with the wise Nagas, not the scorners, not the scoffers, not the haters, because you try to reprove a hater and he's just gonna hate lest he hate you. But a wise naga is the ones you need on your squad KTC, because it ain't about being perfect, but a wise naga really want to do good, really want to be great, be a great Khan, and they're going to love you for giving them an opportunity to be greater, to be closer to the Creator is truly Baruch. And anyone that truly wants to be close to the Creator is looking for any reproof or correction they can get. But don't correct no scorner, because you get to yourself shame. Hey, this the wisdom of HaWah right here, man. This the wisdom of HaWah right here, you know. Yeah, man. Who, oh who, is Prester John? Is he the Dalai Lama? Is he Moshe? Is he Kandawi? Are we talking Joshua? Quetzalcoatl? Tecumseh? The shooting star, the dragon? The real Presters? The real energy, frequency, and vibration? The real Abyssinians or Ethiopian? So when they say Prester John of the Abyssinians, they're talking about the native tongue, right? The native name is Abyssinia. Yeah. See, Ethiop, Negro, right, right. To burn, like the burning ones, like the fiery ones, right? Oh, like the fiery looking, right? So them talking Abyssinia, Ethiopia talk, they're bringing it back to this dragon, fiery. Remember the one with the fiery glance, man? Remember the etymology of dragon, man? Let's get it, man. We popping. Oh, we out of here, man. Prester John, 100, here we come, man. Man, we signed up at the right time, man. We left that static in the dust at the right time. We've been doing this for the right amount of time, man, to surf the right wave. And we give all praise, all credit, all glory to our Creator. And that's all we've been doing. Because our Creator gave us this frequency, right? They call it the Kundalini rising. We say the dragon. The dragon in etymology just means to see clearly, but since we're talking Ethiopians and Abyssinians and specifically Ethiops, then we're talking the burning ones, the fiery looking, and I said was the etymologies of the Drakan. Perhaps the literal sense is the one with the deadly glance, deadly looking, right? Fiery looking, right? Reminds me of the Leviathan flow in the sacred text where he had this deadly glance and fiery eyes, eyes like suns, you know what I'm saying? Fiery glance, right? Deadly glance, the dragon. Ithiop is the what? Fiery looking, right? Come on, the burning, the burn, the burn face. Now they ain't talking about your complexion. They're talking about your fiery look, man. They're talking about that look you give as a dragon. That look they were talking about in 1828 when they were talking about what's a dragon, Managa. First we said, what's an American? Right, the originals, the original Dracons, the copper color cons. Con. So what's a Dracan? I can't make this up. Oh yeah, this winged serpent. Yeah, Oh, the fiery, like the fiery looking? Shooting meteor, right. Imaginary serpent. Isn't imaginary? You still think dragons are imaginary? Or are they fierce, violent people? This says a fierce or violent person, male or female, as this man or woman is a dragon. Fiery looking, huh? So now you know that this person can be a dragon with a fiery glance, a fiery look. Hold up. What's a Prester, since we know that we're talking meteors? Yeah, a Prester is a meteor, man. Thrown from the clouds from such violence to the hijack that by collision it's set on fire. We're talking the fiery ones with the fiery glance, with the deadly glance is the Prester, is the meteor, is the dragon. We just talk Ethiopians and Abyssinians, man. Let's go, man. Hey, man, to the black man, you know, what they looking for a black man in Ethiopia with that fiery glance, with that fountain of youth? And why did they remove the picture of the Prester from the website that used to be this? Yeah, man. I mean, just to, just so you know, we ain't on no play. We do cash receipts. I mean, you might have to belly fly back to Prester John number 20 to get the drop. Let's go. We just popping off. Yeah, man. Prester John number 20. This is the picture that's on this same website, theroot.com. Same picture, you see Prester One, Emperor of the Abyssinians, right? And we gotta wonder why they took this off, why they took this down. I'm just belly flopping, man. But those Moabites and those that are under that banner are protected under these treaties. Because these are the treaties done against you to take down your priest king here, which is why you never heard about them, even from your melanated brothers. Ooh, good guy. Because not all of us rocked together, and the kingdom that was taken down wasn't theirs. They hijacked it and claimed it was theirs. They didn't have the fountain of youth. They weren't located near the terrestrial paradise. But they hijack it all under the general term of more great. This information and many others which we heard rendered us so happy that we cried with joy and prayed God to grant us help so that we might behold what we so much desire. Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you belly fly, my noggin. We're in 71 now. That's 50 Prester Johns ago. Drop is just popping off, man. You know what I'm saying? Right now, we in the victory lap because we didn't even think we'd get to 50. I mean, we were trying to get to 50. Now we on 71. Now we talking about 100. Just put it on 100, man. You know what I'm saying? Put it on the real, man. And I appreciate all y'all wave surfers for getting us this far. And what a great, glorious feeling to do 100 installments. And I like shooting way, way, way up, what I'm saying, for the great, marks to hit, the great checkpoints. So, hey, why not, my naga? But you see it with your own eyes, man. The same link that used to have this picture here. And, of course, they have removed it, right? Okay. Hey, man, we popping off, man, and it feels no better. we better be getting our wardrobes popping off. I mean, this is Prester 71, and we just getting started. That was just the intro, and I'm glad you're here with me. I'm surfing the wave with you, and ain't no greater feeling than searching for HaWah and khandrop with the Shabata. Let go. Let go. All right, Ahab. ThaWaDa, Prester John Legend and his sources PDF. Looking to drive the library. Be patient with the website. We're making a lot of transitions behind the scenes, man. Working out some great things. So, hey, hi to my IT Nagas. Let's go. Right. At the same time, Europeans were becoming increasingly familiar with Asia's diverse cultures. For this reason, while some examine the connection between Prester and Ethiopia, others claim that Prester John was to be located in China or Tibet. So we just breaking this down, right? China or Tibet. So first we say, where's China? Then we say, where's Tibet? Uh, 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 uh. Let's check out this Rush map. Again, Africa, you know, the whole little India here and the whole situation. I mean, Europe and all that. You come to this side and you run right into Tibet. And this ain't no play. We're going to get on some of this Monk Khan or Mangi Khan so you can see that this Mangi is Monkey, right? This is, I believe, Kublai Khan's son. And we're going to talk a little more about Tengu, you know what I mean? Or Tanduk. I mean, Tendec is Tengu. Very important place, man. And right here you got Tibet and you got another Tibet. You got a little Tibet here and a big Tibet, right? So they're looking for Prester John in Asia. They're looking for Prester John in China. They're looking for Prester John in Tibet. And you say, which one? They're looking for Prester John in Ethiopia. The Portuguese looking for 500 years, my nigga. Right here you see Cathay, man. Which one? What's Cathay? We talking the car? We talking the Qatar. Right now we're just talking Tibet or China. 1548 Ptolemaic flow. La China right here. They're looking for the Prester, right? British Museum got the Prester literally in the same exact area. Oh man. Oh yeah, we got the Prester pack up too. I mean, we got nothing but map packs and Prester pack popping off right here for your Prester John. Of course, this is brought to you by Prester Pack. If you ain't got your Prester Pack, hit me up. Music at 432thedrop.com and leave a comment. I got y'all. Anybody that got their drop deals of the week, they're all going out this week. Ahab to you for supporting the wave, man. Hey, shalom. British Museum, you know, I'm just showing you the receipts, right? So British Museum, same place, India Superior, same place, Cathay, Mangi or Bagni, they have right here, Mexico right here, and Prester John right here. This would be the Bering Strait where they're crossing over into the other Asia or Russia, which is why you see this Russian and Rus connection with the kings of Jerusalem or the Khans like the Prester John. All the same folk connected. holding down the vortexes. But where's Kapangu? Where's the real Japan, right? Wait, one thing at a time. Just know that Prester John is on the British Museum maps right next to India Superior. Come. This is why they're searching for him, Managa. This is why they're searching for him. While some examine the connection between Prester John and Ethiopia, others claim that Prester John was to be located in China or Tibet with Philip Avril, and others even claiming that Prester John was the same as the Dalai Lama. And so, this is the original Dalai Lama, Managa, a figure who had only come to the attention of the Europeans in the 17th century. So by the time they're hearing about some Dalai Lama, they've been heard about the Prester. During his time, some declared agreement, and during this time, some declared agreement and others disagreement with the hypotheses put forth by Scaliger that the Ethiopians were initially Mongol subjects residing in Asia, who had fled the advances of Genghis Khan. Which Asia? Which Asia? The one connected to South America, showing that there's no North America, just Asia, China, Chile. We're going to talk some Chile drop in the old Osby, the deliverer, a man named China, who lived and was living at the same time, they said, of Moshe. Would Moshe and China be the same people? Let's go. We're talking India Superior, Mangi, right? Kate, Tanduk, right? Yeah, Tanduk. It's a cool little story about this Red Rose Knight. It's definitely a hijack story of Prester John, but definitely has a couple of gems inside of it that we got to dig on. I'm just digging on some of this Tanduk drop, man. I'm just surfing away. Charles the Great. Okay. Yeah, so surf the wave right here, because this is about to get real X with these Tangus and these Tandukes, man. All happening in real time, man. Oh yeah. Peter Hellion Cosmography. Let's get it. 1652. Peter Hellion was an English ecclesiastic of the 17th century with an active interest in history, politics, and geography. The following excerpt begins with a firm refutation of Scaliger's hypothesis that the Ethiopians were originally an Asian people. Why is he saying this, right? Which Asian? Ethiopians are Asians? I think they're just trying to tell you that you're in Asia. And these Ethiopians, which is just a generic term, it's a Greek generic term for so-called dark-skinned people, wherever they are in the East, West, Orient, in between. Any area of black people, so-called, is in Ethiopia. they're pretty much telling you straight to your face that Ethiopia is Asia. You did. That this is where they're looking for the Prester, and this is why in the British Museum in the same area, in this Asia, right? Because you see South America here connected with which should be North America, but you don't see no North America, right? You don't see no North America, right? So Asia's here, and now this is 1531. This is 1530. But they're putting Asia on the other side of the Bering Strait. So which one is it, right? Clearly, this is all Asia. These are all generic terms. Prester John in Asia, or Cathay. We're going to talk Cathay and Cathay. Well, of course, you see Florida in Asia. That should tell you something. So let's get it. Those of most note in Tanduc, Tenduc itself, Khoras or Quarth-Warism, the ordinary sepulture of the kings of Tanduc before it was subdued by the Tartars. Okay, that's saying a lot in one line. So you got Tanduc. Now on our maps we see Tangu, but do we see Tanduc in America? This is how we're connecting, correlating, taking our time, putting our story together with this so-called Mongol history. Mongol just means great ones. So once you know that, it's the history of these great ones and you are them. But these great ones are also called the Hebrews or Ethiopians or Asiatics, all these things, or Moors. But which ones, right? Which great ones, right? So we're going to connect this Tanduc a little different before they take us to the other side of the world. We already know that Tangu is right here in so-called North America, over Monkey, right? Do we have any other maps correlating this Tangu flow? Bang, bang. Back to North America, over here. We run right into the same Tangu. This is India Superior because you see it over the same Mangi, the same Tibet, the same Kensei, province of Kensei. All right, same things we're finding in the other maps. And of course, we're just talking Cathay, right? Cathay. All right. So we got Tangu there, Tangu here, right? This same Tangut is right here, Tangut. Hey, for the kicker though, man, we need to go back in these maps, man. Let's check out this Taurus Sanctum map. I want to look real close at this Taurus Sanctum map. So you got South America. Now you got a whole lot of land going on. You got a lot of land going on. I mean, Antarctica, man, right? They always try to make it some small little spot on the map on the bottom, but man, they got all this area mapped out, and it's all holy land, right? Tarzant, which means holy land. Look it up. Now, instead of putting the Tangu right here in so-called North America, they put Tanduc way over here. Tenduc. Now we're going to see, just like they put Asia over here, right? That it's really over here. This Tangu is Tanduc. Tenduc. Let's go. So those of most note in Tanduc itself, Korah's the ordinary sepulture of the kings of Tanduc before it was subdued by the Tartars. So now they're talking Genghis Khan and them subduing Prester John King David. And since that also the Kara or Karakoram was Chinggis or Singis, and you'll see the CIN pop up, just like China, you know what I mean? Just like Sapangu is also Sinpangu, and Sin is also this Chin or land of Sin, was first honored with the title of king. So before it was subdued by the Tartars, since that also the Karakoras, where Chinggis was first honored with the title of king. This is when Genghis took the Khan, 1200s, my love. The kings hereof, bearing the port of kings and the office of priest, were anciently called by the name Prester John or Prester John. Bang. So they took the titles and started passing these titles around. But they weren't the real Prester. They weren't the real bloodline, right? They're just mocking this kingdom. To this day, my knock, the Pope is the Prester. The Prester is the OG Pope. But, we're speaking their languages now, right? A title now erroneously conferred by some of the emperors of the Abyssinians. Wow. So now these emperor of the Abyssines, or we just got the Abyssinios, is the native name for Ethiopia, which just means mixed or like a mixed multitude. So they're still in the title Prester John, now erroneously conferred by some on the emperor of the Abyssines or the Ethiopians in Afrique, concerning which it is a wonder that Joseph Scaliger, a man of such infinite reading, should be so deceived and by the authority of his judgment deceive so many, for finding that there was a presbyter Johannes in the north of Asia, and hearing vulgarly that the title given unto him in Afrique, he fell upon a fancy that his Abyssine emperor was formerly of so great power as to extend his empire over India, right? We're in India Superior, let's go, and north of Asia. And in this last, for the assurance of his conquest, to hold his residence, a monstrous and undefensible fancy. For besides that, all histories, even those of the Abyssines themselves, are silent in it, how improbable it is that a king reigning in the heart of Afrique should subdue the most remote parts of Asia. Yeah, how you reigning way in Africa, but you subdued the most remote parts of Asia, unless you are in Asia, and the most remote parts is America. And there keep his court so many great states and most puissant nations, being interposed, and so that so memorable an exploit should be buried in silence and found in no record but in Scaliger's head. Besides, it is well known and generally granted that the presbyter John of Asia was by sect a Nestorian. We got this last time, which refers to an old king renowned for wisdom. That's what an historian is. Old king renowned for wise counsel. But he that is so called in Afrique of the sect of Jacobites, and further, that the Christians of Ethiopia are circumcised, which never was reported of those in Asia. Letting this pass, therefore, as an unwarrantable and ill-ground fancy, we are to know that formerly this province of Tenduk was under the old kings of Cathay. Oh, till the time of Sin Kam, or Singis, or Genghis, the king thereof. So fall back, hold up. What's it say in the fine print? Because we're talking about the old kings of Cathay. We've been talking about where Cathay is, right? Kankan, I mean, we're taking it real slow, right? We're taking it real slow, right? You know, we looked at this last time, this Kapangu situation, sometimes spelled Sinpangu. Yeah, we still in the 1500s. At the very bottom, it says what? A map of America and the way to China as men believed it to be, which an old pilot showed to King Henry VII in the year 1500. So we've been in the 1530s the whole time with these maps. This is 1500. Yeah. We're looking for this island that's no longer even on the maps, this Japan situation that's between this Florida, Barbados, and the mainland, right? So somewhere between this should be an island. These current maps, they don't have that. But you do see that this North America situation, as you see Florida right here, we're still in North America, right? And it's called what? Cathay. See the red letters? Cathay, the whole thing. This is the Great Khan of Cathay, my nigga. China, my nigga. Land unknown, right? This is a fire dragon, huh? Okay, but it's just a myth, right? Okay, all right. Okay. You're in Cathay. Cathay means a pure land, my naga. They found you in the promised land. This is why they called the tribes of Prester the Kara Katai, because the Katai is the Cathay, and the Kara meant black, which meant black Cathay, or these melanated tribes of the promised land, right here in Asia or India, Superior. Let's go. Now, it's important to remember here that the province of Tenduk that we just got on the Tar Sancta map, according to the fine print here, and Prester John legend and its sources, compiled by Keegan Brewer, Crusade text number 27. It says Tenduk is actually Tangu. Body bag. So we're going to have some fun with this. Tenduk is Tangu. We're just talking Cathay. Let me get back to that Tar Sancta, man. Let's get back in that Tar Sancta for a second. Wow. Let's have some fun. And you even see the Abyssia right here. Way over here, they put the Tenduk, Tenduc, Tanduk here, where the other maps have Tangu here, but Tangu is Tanduk. You see how far they have it over here? Again, Tenduc. Tenduc, Tanduc, province of Tanduc, right? Under the old kings of Cathay, we just saw where Cathay really is. So where's Tanduc? It is actually Tangu. Okay. So where's Tangu? Oh, right here near you. In North America or India Superior. They don't have it over here this time, right? It's just in its proper place over Monkey, right? Let's talk Monkey, man. We're about to get into the monkeys. Just know that Tanduc is Tangu. Got it. It's the same Tangu that we've been seeing in this Ptolemaios and this Rush map. Tangut. And you got Tibet right here. So they're looking for him in Tibet and Asia. And they got this Tanduc, Tangu situation popping off. And you know they're talking about you, man. But we about to just show you for sure that they talking about you, man. This is Prester John 72, man. So let's be clear. This is the 72nd installment of the Prester John investigation. I get mixed up sometimes, man, because we just be going in bone. But yeah, we on 72, man. It feels great, man. So Tanduc is actually Tangu, the name of the Mongolic group defeated by Genghis Khan early in the Mongol conquest. So again, they telling us that Tangu is not just a place, but it's the name of a group of people. These great warriors, these Mongols mean great, that were defeated by Genghis Khan early in the Mongol conquest. But Marco Polo mistook this for a place name, and so Tanduc was interpreted as a plain somewhere in Asia, a misunderstanding that permeated many of the early modern sources. Well, why can't it be both? I mean, if it's a group of people, plenty of places are named after groups of people or one person, you know what I'm saying, like Mongeese. So it's not a stretch. But we see clearly that Tanduc is Tangu. So, let's fall back to, let's keep surfing the wave in this document, in this fine print, when we talk about this Tanduc and Tangu. How the Prester John and his people made battle with Genghis Khan, right? Now, the story goes that when Prester John knew that Genghis Khan was coming against him with all his people, he went against him with all his people. And they went so far that they came to the plain of Tanduc. So this is why it's so important, because this is the place of the war that popped off. The war that popped off, my naga, with Prester John and Genghis Khan. So, when they put it way over here, they just don't want you to know that it happened all right here in North America, man. You know what I'm saying? Because Tanduc is Tangu. Tangu is an India Superior. Yeah. He went against him with all his people, and they went so far that they came to the plain of Tanduc, and there they made camp 20 miles distance from that of Genghis Khan. And both sides rested so that they could be fresh and ready on the day of battle. In this way, as you've heard, these two enormous armies were on this plain of Tanduc, or Tangu. And one day, Genghis Khan and his astronomers brought before him both Christians and Saracens, and he commanded them to tell him who would win the battle between him and the Prester John. The astrologers performed their art. The Saracens were not able to tell him the truth of the matter, but the Christians showed it to him frankly. They placed before him a stick and split it through the middle lengthwise, then placed one half over there and the other over here, and the other half over there, and no one was touching them. Then they put the name Genghis Khan on one half of the plank and on the other half that of Prester John. And they said to Genghis Khan, "Sir, now look at these two pieces of wood and see that this one has your name on it and the other one has the name of the Prester. And when we have made our enchantment, whichever one of the pieces of wood ends up above the other will win the battle." So they trying to get whatever edge they can get. Genghis Khan said that he was very happy to see this and told the astrologers to show him as soon as possible. And so the Christian astrologers took up their psalter, read certain songs, and made their enchantments, and then the piece of wood that had the name Genghis Khan on it, without anyone touching it, touched the other and rose above that of Prester John. Now, okay. This is just letting you know how serious this war is between Genghis Khan and the Prester, King David. You know what I mean? Now let's get even more specific into Tengu or Tendu and these people who are this tribe. Tengu, also known as the Western She. And this is what we said before. Whoa! When did we hear this She term before? This XI term, She or Shia. A sovereign state centered on what are now the Western Chinese provinces of Gansu or Ningxia. Right, okay. I.e. Tengu. Tengu is actually the name of a people, not a place, but this confusion on Marco Polo's part comes to permeate many of the early modern sources. In later attempts to unravel Prester John's origin, they just gave us all the drop, and I don't even know if they know that they gave us all the drop. But now we've connected Tengu as a place, first of all, with you, right? Because we're just talking Tengu, right? Okay. And second of all, we're connected with the people that they call the Western She people. Now, where do we hear the She term before, my noggin? Because this is getting good. Well, we got to talk about the Western She people, right? That are the Tengu people. Do we have any other validation on this Tengu? Wikipedia, let's get it. So the Western Shia or the Shia, that's why you got them as She and Shia. Also known as the Tengu Empire and known as the Minyak to Tanguts and Tibetans. Whoa. So is this why we have Tengu, India Superior, and there should be Tibet right here over Mongi, but they chose not to put Tibet on this map, but on the Roosh map, when we look at the same area with the Tengu. All right, so we got Tengu, Mongi, and Tibet. So what does this Shia have to do with Tibet and Tengu and you, Managa, your history? You know what I'm saying? This is your area. This is Shem's land, Managa, right? So the Shia has to do everything with the land of Shem if you're talking the Tangus and the Tibetans. So they're saying the Shia was a Tangu-ruled empire and a dynasty of China, which existed from 1038 to 1227, right before Genghis Khan rode up on Prester John in 1202. Then you got Kublai And you got Mongi popping off, you know what I'm saying? Or Monkey, let's get it. And what are now the northwestern Chinese provinces of Ningxia, Gansu, eastern Qinghai, and Shanxi, northeastern Xinjiang, and southwestern Inner Mongolia. Alright, so they popping off. So the Shia occupied the area around the Hexi corridor, a stretch of the Silk Road. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So we put it together. They say the most important trade route in North China, Central Asia. Their extensive stance among the other empires of Lao, Song, and Jin was attributed to their effective military organizations that integrated cavalry, chariots, archery, shields, artillery. They had all the drop. They made significant achievements in literature, art, music. So it's not just some warriors popping off doing war things. They were artists, musicians. They were, writers. They had literature. They had architecture, which was characterized as shining and sparkling architecture. Man, like what? Cities of gold. We're talking cities of gold. We're talking Cathay. We're talking Kapangu, the real Japan. Cities of gold, so this is letting you know where the Silk Road is, man. Silk Road ain't over there, man. Sheba had the spices. They popping off the Silk Road. Where's Tangu? So these people, they said, were near this Silk Road situation. Man, what if this is the Silk Road? You know what I'm saying? This is why they don't want us to pop off knowing nothing about Greenland today. What they say about Tangu and the Silk Road? The Western Shi occupied the area around this Hexi corridor, which is a stretch of the Silk Road. So this Tangu is around this stretch of Silk Road that was very important. This is a Gansu corridor, they say. Important historic region located in modern western Gansu. Yeah. I'm saying, I'm sure we got a lot of drop in there. So that means the Silk Road, this is the area that they occupied. So knowing where they're at, and where was the Silk Road, man? We got to put it together. It's right in our face bone, no? This much I do know. Because we just talking the Western Shi. And they had beef with Genghis Khan, you know what I mean? What it say? So the full title of the Shi, as named by their own state, reconstructed. So they're named by their own state, which got us thinking about these Olmecs just right quick, because they said the Olmecs called themselves the Shi. And now you hear that these Shi or these Tangu, is their own name, right? Their own flow. So this Shia, let's get to the Olmec. The Olmec left the real history WW. Let's get right to it. The Olmec called themselves the Shi, my naga. Damn, we just brought the Tangu in with the place and then brought it in with the people. You dig? American people, like the American Olmecs or the American Tangu or the American Western Shi or the Shia, right? What do these Olmecs have to do with the Chinese? They are the Chinese. They're the original Khans. They're the originals, just like you. What does it say? Yeah, these Nagas had architecture, architecture, man, that was characterized as shining and sparkling. Music, art, literature, right? Military, all the tribe. The full title of the Shia, Western Shia, as named by their own state, reconstructed as, yeah, man, you tell me what that word is. Which word by word denotes white, high, white, right? Like that Aztec or Azlan, that people of whiteness. So we're just talking pure, like pure land, like Cathay, high, like lofty, like Udall, right? Kingdom, great, like Mongol, like Moor, Khan, right? Or, Summer Kingdom, the corresponding Chinese name, White High Great Shia State. So that's what they really calling them. The White High Great Shia State was also used. We're just talking about the Shia, right? I mean, because the Almec called themselves the Shia. The same name they used when they were in China. But I can't, come on, man. We say, where's China? You see this map of Ptolemy's August Gabi, 1548, with La China right here near Mexico. Then we got the Atlantic Journey Monthly, say they about 10 days away journey from Mexico to the mainland of just China, or this Cathay. And then we see these maps which got the Cathay drop all over. Oh, love to the Templar popping off. Love to the Templar popping off. Hey, sometimes we get a little gifty around here, man. When we surf the wave, man. My beezy, man. My beezy. Let's get that Cathay map back, man. Oh, yeah, man. Hey, it's you gotta have fun with this, man. It's so much to, consider. You know what I'm saying? So much to dig on, Sometimes you gotta get a little bit mimi. Gotta get mimi. Yeah, man. So somewhere between Florida and the mainland of China should be an island of Kapangu, which is Japan, the original. This is Cathay, right? This is China, Managa. So this is the Great Khan of China, right by what? Florida, Managa. So where's the Silk Road? Where's Tangu? Let's go. Uh, uh, where's China? Yeah, okay, okay. Okay, boss. Ain't nothing to see here, boss. Not in America, right? I mean, we're just talking the civilizations of America and the fact that the Olmec called themselves the Shi or Shia, because that's the same name they used when they were in China. Come on, man. Come on, man. Can't make this up, man. So they are the Shi. They are the Shi. They are the Western Shia that got rode up on by Genghis Khan. We're talking about the kingdom of the great Shia of the white and lofty, and suggested the name refers to a peak in the Helen Mountains named the White and Lofty Mother. The region was known to the Tangus as Minja Ninja and to the Tibetans as Minya. Another name the Tangus used for their state was Kiwi Dui Ihiji, which means the state of 10,000 secrets. Western Shia or Shia is the state's Chinese name. Western refers to its location west of the Liao, and Jin dynasties, as well as the Song. So I think these are all, tribes that were, tribed up with these Shia. pointing to the Shia dynasty, is a historical name for the region that originated from the 5th century Shia state. The name Tangu is derived from the Altaic form first found in Orkhon inscriptions dated 735, which is transcribed in Chinese Tangwu or Tangut. All right. Tangu is used a common name for certain tribes in the Amdo Khan or Kokanor Gansu region. Into the 19th century, the Tanguts called themselves Minag, transcribed in Chinese as Mingyao or Maya. Okay. The Tangus originally came from Tibet. Managa, where is Tibet? It appears that Tibet, according to this Roosh map, Tibet ain't where you think it should be, man. Tibet ain't where you think it should be. Because it's right by Monkey. Yeah, right by Tangu. So keep all this in mind as we're reading this Shi history, that what the Tangus originally came from Tibet, Genghai region, according to Chinese records, which called them the Dang Xiang. The Tangu were descended from Western Qiang people and described the steeps around Qiang Lake and the mountains to its south. The Qiang was a name given to various groups of people at China. Different periods of ancient China, the Qiang people are generally thought to have been Tibeto-Burman origin, though there are other theories. Oh man, we gotta get into this Qiang situation. Man, I know this is deep, man. Hold up, I just gotta click on it, man. You never looked at these Qiangs before. It seems like King, huh? King. So they're part of the ancient Qiang. You know, they got a bunch of different origins of these words, to ride, to go by wagon, to ride off, to hunt from the charioteer. All right. So the Kang tribe expanded eastward and joined the Han. I'm just belly flopping. We gotta dig on these Hans. I mean, same way that we put together the indigenous tribes of America, you could put together this Mongol history, and it's going to surf the wave parallel, Managa, because it's the same people. These are the indigenous Khans of America. You can't be popping off with your Indian tribe and not connect with this Mongol history, man, because this is filling in all the gaps between the indigenous Americas, the Hebrew Israelites, and these Mongol Khans. You put all three together and bang. Bang, Managa, you see yourself clearly, man. We're going to get back to these Kangs, man, but, it's going to connect some of this tribe upness, man. The Kangs, then you got the Tangs. Oh, man. Okay, let's go. We just talking the Shia, which means we just talking the Shia. We talking you, because the all men called themselves the Shia. Bang, okay. Back to Prester John the Legend and his sources. We're just getting receipts. So in the fine print, it says Tangu, also known as Western Shi, sovereign nation, sovereign state, centered on what is now the Western Chinese provinces of Gansu. Tangu is actually the name of a people, not a place. place. Okay, let's back it up again. Right around here. I just want to look at a couple things before we start connecting this monkey flow and get into these romances. Just surf the wave. We out of here. Let's go. We out of here. Let's go, man. Why not? Why not? Let's go. The Fifth Crusade took place between 1217 and 1221 in two theaters, the Holy Land and Egypt. Belief in Prester John here had an important impact on world history, being partly responsible for the failure of the crusade as a whole. So they blaming the Prester because they say, oh, he didn't help us. He didn't help us against the Muslims. Yeah, they needed his help to fight against the Moor, right? They said if anyone could help, it's this Naga Negus who's over here slaying all these Persians and sultans and all this situation, all this King David history that we're hearing. And then that blends into the Genghis Khan history because Genghis Khan stole the title of David, stole the title of Prester John, and stole the title of the Khan. So by the time you're in 1220, 1230, you're talking Genghis. But before that, before 1202, when you're talking Prester, you're talking the Prester. And this is how you differentiate, Managa, between those who are carrying this title, so you don't have to look at something in the 1300s and be like, oh man, this Prester John, I ain't feeling what he was on. That's not the real Prester. That's the Prester in the Genghis line. You got to stick with the Prester in the David line, and I'm talking the Davids, Managa. Belief in Prester John here had important impact on world history, man. These crusades popped off because of Prester John. They're looking for the Prester for 500 years, man. They're looking for you. Looking for Khandawi. Let's get it. So they were trying to destroy Islam forever, man. They thought the Prester was going to help them. They're going to meet up with the Prester in Jerusalem. This, they took to mean that the Prester John was coming from the east to help them win the crusade. The Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II was believed to be the king from the west. He too never arrived. So their prophecy was all wrong, all bad. The leaders of the crusade waited for six months for Prester John to arrive and wrote letters to the major political figures of the time in Europe, including Pope Honorius III, informing them that Prester John was on his way. But when nothing eventuated, the Crusaders made their advance southward towards Cairo in 1221 and were thoroughly repulsed by the Muslims. So these Muslims repulsed these Christians, right? The day in waiting for Prester John was pivotal. First, it allowed the Muslims to regroup and defeat an invasion in the north from the Sultanate of Rum in modern Turkey. Second, and most importantly, the delay allowed the change from dry season to monsoon season. Although it rains a little in Egypt, the Nile flow varies greatly between the seasons, burgeoning in summer contrary to European rivers, which burgeon in winter. For the Fifth Crusade marching southward in July 1221, this meant that previously dry crossings were now flooded. The Muslim armies exploited this fact, cornered the Crusaders between two watercourses, and decimated them. Thus, Prester John was a part of the etiology for the failure of the Fifth Crusade. Blame the Prester. Blame the Prester. Everybody want to blame the Prester. Hey, it's hard to be the Prester because, when it's all good, they'll say, yeah, but, this was supposed to happen. You the Prester. When it goes all bad, They say, man, how is you the Prester? Man, if the roles were reversed, I would be running things much better than you, Prester. I'm going to blame the Prester. Seems like they always want to blame the Prester, man. Guess it's a recurring theme in the tribe. Oh, oh yeah. Looking over here before I get into this monkey, man, I just, every time I surf this wave, I always find something super cray, man, for us to apply in the investigation. And look how they describe this David in this letter in 12:21, the relatio de David, first version. All right, so this is, all popping off at the same time frame. Dodging all this hijack. It says the aforementioned King David, may God protect him, whom God protects, is the youngest of his brothers, his father, King Israel. May God spare his soul, had 6 sons, and he was the youngest of them all. With the death of his father, his firstborn brother succeeded him, and this king, just like his father, King Israel, and his father. So you read about all the Israel the first, Israel the seconds, and all this stuff in the Forbidden Histories of America. These Israels end up being the Toltecs, connected with Sylvanus Toltexis, also known as Solomon the Builder. So when you see King Israel, just know that there's multiple King Israels that end up connecting with the Toltec line in America. So you can't be no indigenous Naga today and then say that, oh, this Israel flow, this Moshe flow is just some white man shit that they brought over here. Nah, this was already here. This Quetzalcoatl flow, he was one of the Israels, my Naga. This code they were keeping, the Shabbat they were keeping, the frequency they were keeping is already here. No matter what title, Tangu, Shia, this and that, these are Israelites. So you can't be indigenous without connecting with the kingdom of Israel and America, which means you must connect with Dawid. But first, you got to connect with the code. Exodus 20 got us in code. So just like his father, King Israel, and his grandfathers and great-grandfathers were subject to the great king of the Persians, who was called the Kana, which means in our language, king of kings, and his land was from Kasar, Kasgar, or Kashgar up to Balasakun, which is beyond the river, which is called in the Persian language the river Jian. After the temple, these Jians, are we just talking about the river of the Prester John? But they spelled John with a G, right? The aforementioned king of the Persians called together his astrologers and asked them to predict the future and tell him what was going to happen with his death. Don't it sound like the script? These kings of Persia and Babylon trying to get their oracles to tell them about these signs and these visions, right? And these dreams. As it was their custom, they took a virgin boy and having cut off both his arms, they collected his blood in a vase. So they took a virgin boy, cut off his arms, collected his blood in the vase, and implored him to foretell the future. Damn. That boy, before he had died, foretold everything to them. Dang. So this virgin boy told him everything as he was dying with no arms, man. Indeed, he said that a certain king, David by name, a very noble man, would make the kingdom of Persians his subject. Well, this is going to start sounding familiar real quick. It's going to sound like the New Test when they're searching for, oh, baby Jesus, right? Because he was supposed to be, the one to supplant this ruler at the time. So here comes David, a very noble man. He's going to make the Persians his subject. The aforesaid Kankana, king of the Persians, questioned them about this, if they knew of any such king in those provinces who was called David, and they said no one was called by such a name. However, King Israel had a very small son who was called David, who is of no importance, they said. But the aforementioned king said to his astrologers, let us send word to his brother so that he may send him to us, and in this way let us kill him, and we will free ourselves from his name. So the hijack Ben wanted to free themselves from the name of David. David ain't just something in your biblical scripture. It's something in the reality of America in the 1200s, 1100s. And before that, it's the reality that this name changed the course of the world, my King of kings, Khan of khans. Hosea 3, search for HaWah and King David. Why? Read about it. Let's go. You're talking about the king of India, right? That he should send him his brother because he wished to do service to him and honorably advance him. Truly, when David's brother heard mention of this, along with a certain of his devotees in whom he had great confidence, he sent his brother to the king of the Persians, unaware of his vicious plan. And while the boy was coming to the king of Persians, the king greatly rejoiced at his arrival. The boy kissed the ground before him and saluted him most devotedly. The boy was very beautiful. Dawid was very beautiful, and when the king saw him, he immediately felt pity for him. The two wives of that king were present there, one of whom was the daughter of King John, the paternal aunt of David's father, King Israel. The other was a daughter of King Ganisi, from whom he had a son who was called Philip. Do you not fear God? They asked him. The boy came to you under your faith and is under your protection, and he touches your carpet with his feet, and you want him to be handed over to death for nothing? And his wives greatly reproached him for this, for one was a Christian woman named the paternal aunt of that father of David, and the other was an unbeliever. So the king felt shame in his heart and considered what he should do. Finally, with divine permission, it kind of sounds like Moshe when the king or the pharaoh was trying to kill all these Hebrew boys, and yet, his wife, his woman saved him, right? Petitioned for him, right? Say, we just found this boy, he's a blessing. Let him be a son unto us, right? Without delay, the boy rode off with his men, and God stirring him on, he rode for 40 leagues by day and night, speeding up his return by changing his horses often. And after this, the king's scribes and astrologers came to him and reproached him that he did wrongly because he allowed the boy. Let's get it from here. It's because he allowed the boy to return. Then the king was immediately sorry for what he had done, and he sent the horsemen after him to apprehend him. So he let him go. Then he felt sorry about it, so he, but not sorry in a good way. He's like, oh man, what did I do? I should have just killed him. So he sent his people after him, but they didn't find him, for indeed he had escaped by divine will. And at length he came to his brother's land. 3 years later, his brother died. Truly, everyone from the kingdom gathered before him, elected him, the boy, to be their king, because he seemed handsome, distinguished, and bold, and with divine strength. At the first good omen, they promoted him to his rank, following the custom of his predecessors. Then they anointed him as king. Finally, they bound to him as wife the daughter of the king of Damakak, and he made such a great effort that he brought together a greatest abundance of people, which certainly no one can count, and he rode through the land of Kamkana, the king of Persians. The aforementioned Kankana, king of the Persians, came to oppose him with a great multitude, and they fought each other. Then by divine will and with the help of a life-giving cross. Are we talking about a Tau that had some type of technologies? King David prevailed and subdued him. And the greatest part of his people was killed, except those who cleansed themselves with the bath of baptism. Oh man. Well, we're talking about Prester John with the fountain. Baptism is a little different than you might think when it comes to Christianity. See, when it comes to the fountain of youth, according to this TheRoot.com, they were in the fountain of youth, Managa. When they talk baptism, I mean, whoever drinks 3 times without having eaten will have no illness for 30 years. And when he is drunk of it, he will feel as if he has eaten the finest meat and spices, for it is full of HaWah's grace. A person that bathes in this fountain or is baptized in this fountain, whether he be of 100 or 1,000, will regain the age of 32. So baptism back then, or bathing in the fountain of water, brought you back to the age of 32. Know that we were born and blessed, Baruch, in the womb of our mother 562 years ago. We were born and blessed in the womb of our mother 562 years ago. And they asking us, where's Prester John for 500 years, 1145 to 1645? And since then we have bathed or been baptized in the water 6 times. Yeah, by this miracle, this water, this miracle. Right? They think miracle, they think Jesus. The miracle is already here, man. Right? And someone has to lead you to this water. Because they were 562 years old and going strong. Europe's difficulty in making contact with Prester John was of no moment, for he was immortal. Europe had difficulty making contact with this immortal, miraculous priest king. King David prevailed, subdued him, and the greater part of his people was killed, except those who bathed or cleansed themselves in the water. Indeed, the aforesaid Kankana, king of Persia, was captured, bound with golden shackles, and led captive on a chariot in the land of King David. But the aforesaid King David subdued to himself that man's entire land, which is called the kingdom of the King of Kings of the Saracens. And I ask you, what does a Saracen look like? What does a Saracen look like, my love? Huh? And why is this a Saracen's head? A Saracen's head. We're just talking about the rules, right? So who's the Saracen? Right? The Papa Bull says to subjugate all Saracens. Prester John and Legend and his sources is talking about these Saracens that are what? King of Kings of the Saracens. We're just talking King David. King of Kings of the Saracens. In this land, there are 64 great cities, of which is called, they got all these names, man. Yeah. Okay. Oh, there's a lot of Scaliger chronology dropping this as well that I kind of stumbled on, I never seen before. It's getting real around here, man. It's getting real. Hold up, man. Let's talk about this Red Rose Night, man. They tried to hijack the Prester in the story, and I'm not gonna get the whole thing, but I'll belly fly with you. I mean, we're talking Richard, right? Richard Johnson, the most pleasant history of Tom Lincoln. It's going to lead us right where we need to be into these romances, into this bonky situation. Let's go. The present excerpt derives from an early 17th century English prose Arthurian romance. Again, what is a romance? Love to the Templar. Etymology, romance. A story written or recited in a verse telling of the adventures of a knight or hero, etc. Right? Before they went into it being about love, we're just talking about these romance, right? Or we're talking about Remani, Hebrew Khan of Khans. You're talking about love story, well, that came later in the 1660s. Love affair, that came later. But the Romani, or we're talking about the pomegranatas, for those that are surfing the wave. The Hebrew word of the day, Rimmon, is pomegranate, connected with the promised land. But who's connected with the promised land? A knight, a hero. They made it about King Arthur, right? Joffrey of Monmouth created an Arthurian history and genealogy that was false, so that he gives all the truth behind King David into this fictional character, King Arthur, and they call it Arthurian romances. But these are King David stories. Camelot is Calalus, and Sir Lancelot is Lancelin. Yeah, I told y'all, man. I mean, Israel III went south to the Toltec lands of Mexico. His grandson, Makir Amerik, who is Mixcoatl of the Toltec, was the grandfather of Tapuzin, who is Israel the Seventh, who is the priest of Quetzalcoatl, who left Cholula for Rhoda. We're talking Arizona in 1000 AD. He rejoined the remnant of the Rhodans who led east. He led east and then back to Europe, and some of the Latin Jewish Rhodans or Hebrew Rhodans settled in northwest Spain, where as trained warriors they were welcome in the fight to preserve the freedom of northwest Spain from the Muslims. So again, they were trying to get the Presters, right, to fight in these wars against these Muslims and these Christians from these, holy Roman situations. It was like you had three tiers. You had these Christian folks, and then you had the Muslim folk, and then you had the Hebrew, right? The Hebrew is where you're getting all this Latin Jewish, Prester flow. That's the reality. That's the real spill. You know what I mean? This Muslim flow and Christian flow is spinning out of this King David history, mainly, what I'm saying? Spinning out of the reality of the American history, the Toltec history, which are the Israels. Which are the Swan Knights. And we just said, what's a romance? It's a story about a knight or a hero, like a Swan Knight. And who would be the hero? Sylvanus Texas, Solomon the Builder, Khan. Or Nehemiah, depending on, which part of the story you're picking up on. The Barbers, the Hebrew word of the day, Swan, right? Swan Knights. He had a fleet of trading vessels. Solomon did. Solomon the Builder. Fleet of trading vessels known as the ships of Solomon or the Swan boats. Ships are shaped like giant swans, with its sail like the wings of a beautiful gliding white swan. Yeah. We're talking Lancelot, we're talking Lancelin. Rodrigo El Cid was Topozzi's great grandson. Topozzi's son was Lane Calvo, who is Lancelot. Lancelin of Camelot. Kalaluz, which means what? Promised land or pure land, like Cathay, like Caracata, Rodrigo El Cid, and his father, Diego Lainez, who is Jacob, married into the David Exelarch family in Spain, Barcelona, Managa. And then Lancelot's sister is Shamina of Kalaluz. Whoa. Yeah. Okay, okay, okay. So in this Richard Johnson letter, 1607, the present excerpt derives from an early 17th century English prose Arthurian romance. Its author, Richard Jefferson, although little known in the 21st century, was a contemporary of Shakespeare who was extremely popular. So this is a very important drop. Although the present book has not focused on fictional texts, the inclusion of one example is used to demonstrate Prester John's role. Right, man. I've been talking a lot. Let's go, man. Let's go. So this Red Rose Knight, what happened with this knight at the court of Prester John, and how the Red Rose Knight slew a dragon with 3 tongues and kept a golden tree in the same country with other attempts that happened. So this story, just to get right to it, they're in this palace having high towers. And it said it's standing in the air like Greek pyramids, all right? To which he's supposed to be the palace of some great potentate. Therefore calling Sir Lancelot, or like we just got, oh yeah. We're getting right into the romances, man. Sir Lancelot, or who? Sir Lancelin of Kalaluz, Managa. This is the real spill popping off. Sir Lancelot with 2 other knights unto him, he requested them to go up from the city and to inquire of the country and who was the governor thereof, for which thing they promised to do. So arming themselves, they went up into the city where they were presented unto Prester John. Now this is in the 1600s, and whoever at this point is calling themselves the Prester, but the story continues, and it ends up being, some competition for the Prester's daughter, whoever could slay the dragon, which is hijacked. It's a 1600 Prester, not 1200 Prester, if you're talking about slaying a dragon and not riding a dragon, because in the Prester John letter, he got infinite thousands of dragons and caverns full of dragons, and dragons are popping off, dragons are at the banquets, dragons are at the weddings, and now suddenly you slaying dragons, man. Come on, man. Hijack City. But the interesting part is this gold tree, man. This is what I like right here. All right, so, but among all other devices, he told the English knight of a tree of gold, which now grew in his realm and yearly brought forth golden fruit, but he could not enjoy the benefit thereof by reason of a cruel dragon that continually kept it. So the dragon's so cruel because he won't let him have the golden fruit, for the conquest of which golden tree he had many times solemnly proclaimed throughout the part of the world that if any knight does attempt to conquer it, by good fortune bring the adventure to an end, he should have in reward thereof his daughter, the fair Angalatora, in marriage, to which many knights resorted as well as 14 countries as his own nation, but none so proved so fortunate to accomplish the wished conquest, but lost their lives in the same adventure. Therefore, I fully believe if all the knights in the world were assembled together, yet they were all insufficient to overcome that terrible dragon. So just keep in mind when they talk about this golden fruit scenario, you know what I'm saying? Because they kind of, leak this connection in a few other sources, man. So again, we're just talking about the tree of gold and this golden fruit. All right, so keep this in mind, this golden fruit. All right, and tree of gold and this connection with this Prester John and this cruel dragon that kept it to himself, right? He didn't want to give up the gold. So this golden fruit, man, it's, belly flopping to one of our favorite books of all time, Legend or Lost Tribe and Promised Lands by Ronald Sanders. All this stuff's in the great drop library. Out to the record keeper, Aqua Tabazan. Golden fruit, right? Golden fruit. The Catalan map presents the essential imagery and lore of this tradition. Page 15, let's go. Or page 14, Shalom. All right. The wall is depicted as well as Alexander himself, Satan, Gog, and Magog, who are identified here as Tartars. Now, all right, well, that would connect with this Genghis Khan flow, but it says this Antichrist, but there are peculiarities in the presentation. For one thing, the iconography is, as elsewhere on the map, rather free of explicitly Christian symbols. So it's hard to talk Antichrist without really a strong connection with Christianity. So if you're not talking Antichrist in terms of Christianity, what's the Antichrist? If Christ just means anointed, who's anointed? Anointed of the Greeks? Anointed of the Romans? I mean, who's anointed are we talking about? Anti-anointed. Anti-Zeus, my naga? Anti-Jupiter, my naga? Let's go. But there are peculiarities in this presentation. For one thing, the iconography is, as elsewhere on the map, rather free of explicitly Christian symbols. For another, there's an odd serenity about it all, with nothing of the terror normally to be found in Christian versions of Apocalypse and Antichrist. So this Antichrist isn't so terrible for some reason. There's no Christian symbology around it. They're just talking about the Catalan map and this imagery and lore about this Catalan map. You know what I'm saying? And this king that's on it that seems to be referring to an Antichrist. The depiction of Antichrist is essentially startling. In what is the largest and most elaborate scene on the map, we see a benevolent king, a benevolent medieval monarch in the three-pointed crown, who is the only king, by the way, who is standing on the whole map. And get this, my naga, because it's supposed to be the Antichrist, but he doesn't have the same terror in Christianity, associated with Christianity, with nothing of the terror normally to be found in Christian visions of apocalypse and Antichrist. This Antichrist is especially startling because he's he's a good king, he's a positive guy, he's a positive monarch with a three-pointed crown, but he's still the their Christ, which is what is startling to these people. That if this guy is good, then the Christ must be bad. The anointed that is being referred to must be negative. If this good king is being presented, the only king, by the way, who is standing, holding out two branches of a golden fruit, towards his followers. Now, where will we be able to connect a golden fruit from a golden tree? Or did they just give us the drop and Prester John the Legend and his sources of a golden tree with golden fruit, when the dragon is guarding this golden tree, right? Holding out two branches. So this good king who seems to be an antichrist, but he's not terrible. He's holding two branches of a golden fruit towards his people, nobles, clergy, peasants, bourgeois, whatever that is, right, who are gathered around him in various postures of obeisance. They are surrounded by trees, flowers, and more golden fruit, all suggesting a domain of abundance and tranquility. But how could he be the Antichrist? And they say, how can this man be anything but a savior? So he seems to be the more savior character, not this Christ. Nah, he seems to be the one that is actually giving to his people and bringing his people abundance, not this JC. There's nothing of the traditional imagery of Jesus about. On the contrary, the inscription below the scene reads, Antichrist. So he can't be no savior according to Christianity because he's being labeled on this Catalan map as an Antichrist. But what does it mean? Anti-who's Christ? Anti-who's anointed? He will be reared at Chorazin in the Galilee, and when he is 30 years old, he will begin to preach in Jerusalem. And contrary to all truth, he would say he is Jesus Christ, Son of the living God. Whoa. So they're giving you the story that the hijack used literally as the story of JC. Because he's the only one saying he's son of the living God, and he's here to rebuild this, and you know what I mean. So this story, it's almost like JC is the Antichrist. He's the only one that fits this bill. He's the only one that's when he's 30 years old, he began to preach in Jerusalem. I mean, this is the Christ story, but he's the Antichrist. This don't make no sense. This don't make no sense. The second mention of JC on the Catalan map there then is in context that hardly seems Christian at all. The language is ambiguous. Only the words contrary to all truth suggest criticism of the Antichrist. But even these lose much of their bite in the light of their Jewish authorship, perhaps as a conscious ruse or out of a provincial delusion. The man who is to rebuild the temple of Jerusalem will have to make some assertions contrary to truth in order to be allowed to proceed. But what pious Jew of the 14th century will hold against him this means of achieving such an end? Get this dry, man. So how could it be anything but a savior, right? Or should we say a Mashiach? A Mashiach. Yeah. Yeah, we gotta dig on this Catalan map some more, man. But pay attention to the golden fruit, man, because he's holding out two branches of a golden fruit towards his followers. And then they're surrounded by trees, flowers, and more of the golden fruit. And what are they kicking here with this dragon, this tree of gold? By reason of this cruel dragon continually kept it, the conquest of the golden tree. So he wants this golden tree that has this golden fruit that this dragon is protecting. They say he's a cruel dragon. How dare you, dragon, keep this golden fruit away from us, man. This tree of gold, which grew in his rim, yearly brought forth golden fruit, Anaga. So this Prester has a tree of gold that bears forth golden fruit that's protected by a dragon. That's all you need to know. Golden fruit, golden tree, protected by a dragon. Khan, Khan. And this so-called Antichrist, who's really a benevolent monarch in a three-pointed crown, only king standing, holds two branches of a golden fruit towards his followers, and they're surrounded by trees, flowers, and more of the golden fruit, all suggesting a domain of abundance and tranquility, Managi. How can this be anything but a Mashiach, bringing that golden fruit, bringing that water to the tribe? We're just talking about the Prester. Even in the 1600s, Managa, they had these kinds of stories, and it gets so much deeper, and they got so much more in this book. I can't wait to get back into it, but we're going to make a real sincere, headed towards our dismount right here. So, yeah, we're just talking about the Preston. We're just talking about the Preston, man. Let's get back in that Lost Tribes before we get on our romance flow. Let's get it over to some of the juicy stuff that we love digging on. And I just want to remind you, part of the building blocks, this document right here was definitely part of the building blocks in our investigation. Cleared up a lot, of the illusion real quick. First you're thinking, man, is this a myth? Is this mythology? And then bringing so many facts that connect to so much, what I'm saying, that for sure you're surfing a serious wave right here. And this just made us take it more serious, what I'm saying? And hey, I'm talking about Nagas that been surfing this wave, man, from the tip top with a Naga. Because really, in real time, it's all happening. And this we know for sure. I'm just belly flopping right now. And what follows at first is a veritable description of the heavens, a series of brief biographies from Adam, Noah, Moshe. Yeah, they're collecting a lot of docs, man, a lot of documents. I want to get back even further, though. They say Columbus had a copy of Edris, and Edris was one of his favorite books, that he really leaned on to, you know, clarify some of his so-called prophecy, as he says. But they keep going into the second Edris. We gonna pick it up right here, man, just for old time's sake. Just for old time's sake, my nut. Surfing away. Now, we just mentioned this John River, and, I just threw out there, is it the Prester John River? Got me thinking about what Rudolph Sanders had mentioned, the John River. We'll pick it up from here for a couple pages and, get on to some great drop for the dismount. Where then is this remarkable country? I'm on 27 of the PDF. Promised Lands, Lost Tribes and Promised Land. Our magnificence, writes Prester John, dominates the three Indias, extends to farther India, where the body of St. Thomas and the apostle rests. It reaches through the desert towards the place of the rising sun and continues through the valleys of deserted Babylon close to the Tower of Babel. Suddenly, the vague immensity takes on a biblical tint. So you're looking for Prester John. You're connected to the three Indias, you know what I'm saying? And suddenly you start getting real biblical. This is deepened when John informs us that his territories comprise the Pison, which is one of the four rivers that rise up out of the terrestrial paradise, according to the second chapter of Genesis. Furthermore, like the land of HaWah, around which the biblical Pison flows, John's country contains gold, like the golden fruit. The onyx, it also flows with milk and honey. A hint at the location of this rim is provided by Genesis 2:13, which tells us that another of the four rivers of Eden, the Gaon, they spelled Gion before, right? With a Geon. We said could be John. Now they give us a Gihon, like Jahan. Quote, compassed the whole land of Ethiopia, or we're talking Abyssinia. John tells us that his place is in Susa, the ancient capital of Persia, but this also implied proximity to Ethiopia and the vague geographical imagination. The vague geographical imagination of Europe. As the countries pass the continental rim of, let me get this, the continental rim of the Prester John letter, clearly somewhat south of the original Tartar centers of the legend, was to be increasingly identified as Ethiopia. The Zoroastro-like character, that's why we've been digging on Zoroaster before Zarathustra, something like that. Or they say Zoroastro or Zarathustra. This character, who thus begins to emerge, can be perceived as deeply bound in the imagery and mythology of the ancient East. So, is Prester John the original Zoroaster? You know what I mean? Flow. In some ways, he is another version of the noble non-European. So this ain't no, so-called Caucasian. They're trying to make a clear distinction. Whose Western counterpart we have come upon in the Fortune Islands. But there are significant differences. Unlike the fortunate islander, this sophisticated Oriental knows both the value of money and the necessities of war. The Western idea was founded in the classical simplicity and closeness to a fresh and fertile nature, whereas this Oriental one reposes in a natural environment that is harsh and forbidding and old, and that yields up minerals and miracles more readily than vegetation. The way of life envisioned for the West was essentially democratic. Thus, or this Eastern one is the best of all possible monarchies. The Fortunate Islands beckon to pioneers, Prester John's domains to pilgrims and saints, while the quote noble savage sings of a future far from the clutter of decadent civilizations. Our noble Ethiopian makes a last plea for the treasures, both material and spiritual, that may still be found among the rubble of a sacred past. He represents a kind of archaeological rediscovery, a digging up of Hellenistic Christian origins in the East. You're in the Far East, man. They're about to prove it. To which Western Europeans have finally been drawn in the age of the Crusades. The Prester John legend thus emerges as a Christian counterpart to those visions of a longed-for and ancient East that we have glimpsed among Muslims and Jews on the Iberian Peninsula. Indeed, it represents an assertion for Europe in general of that tolerant spirit represented above all by medieval Spain, and acceptance of that East in some of its cultural and racial complexity. What's it got to do with race, my naga? In fact, the Prester John letter may and at least in part, have Jewish roots. Really? This might be a Hebrew thing. Let's go. In the desert that separates the mountains from the sandy sea, the writer tells us an underground river or rivulet turns into a large river in which an abundance of precious stones is to be found. Quote, beyond this river, he goes on, are 10 tribes of Jews who, though they pretend to have their own king, are nevertheless our servants and tributaries. So if Prester is King David, is the king of Judah, then yeah, he's saying that the other 10 tribes are acting like he's not the king of Israel and just the king of Judah, you know. They're acting like they got their own king. They're making their own kings, right? Is that biblical? Let's go. Nothing more is said on the subject in the original version of the letter, but it is noteworthy that in the embroidered versions produced by later generations, this passage is among the ones that underwent the greatest amplification. So they done did some changes to this passage. They done did some changes to this Naga, you know what I'm saying, who's representing right here about this Samanyan River and these other tribes that pretend to have their own king. In an English version of 1507, so this came later, for example, the weak kings of the above passage became a great king of Israel, whom Prester John concedes to be twice as strong as I am. So the later version of the letter, instead of these kings being, tributary unto the Prester, they are now the great king of Israel. You know what I mean? And now Prester is saying that they're twice as strong as him. So they are emasculating Prester. They're weakening him in this 1507. Whereas before, nah. Nah. Before, he's talking about what they pretend to have their own king. Nevertheless, they are our servants and tributaries. Later on, he's saying they're twice as strong as him, right? So, dodge the hijack. And he had under him 300 kings, 4,000 princes, dukes, earls, barons, knights, squires, without number. And here he seems to have become an alternate version of Prester John himself. He's talking about the 1507 flow. Indeed, it is very likely that some sort of identification between Prester John and the king of Israel, between the remote realm of the Christians and the final refuge of the 10 lost tribes, lies buried in the very sources of this legend. The possibility seems very close to the surface in the early Central Asian version provided by Hugh of Jabala, with his intimations of Tartars and the king of the Khazars. Only a generation after Bishop Hugh, the celebrated Jewish traveler Benjamin of Tudela described a relationship he had heard about between 4 of the lost tribes and a nomadic people called the Kofar al-Tarak, which we connected previously with the Dajjal in the Muslim folklore or in the Quran about this anti-Christ flow, but he's called this Kofar situation. He's called a Kofar, right? And here we are with this Kofar al-Tarak, you know what I mean, to Torah, and they're supposed to be this desert tribe, and kind of reminds me of that Marco Polo Netflix series, with this Prester in the desert. That's the Kofar al-Tarak, you know what I'm saying? They control these deserts. Now they got this show called Dunes, or like a remake of Dune, which they got these desert people riding on dragons at the end of the movie, right? Put it all together. The Kofar al-Tarak eventually were not Christians, but their purported relationship with some of the lost tribes resembles that of Prester John and could have had something to do with the making of the latter's legend. So these Kofar al-Tarak seem like they're the same as the Kara Katai, under Wong Kong Prester John. Kara, meaning black or melanated. Katai, meaning Cathay, pure land. It might be the same people. These are just titles. This Gofar al Tarak seems to remind us of the Kofar drop. This Dajjal drop. This, you know, anti whatever, in both the Bible, New Test, connected with this Quran flow, this anti situation, but the anti there anointed is our real Mashiach. Our Mashiach is their antichrist. You did. Our Mashiach is their Dajjal in Islam. Our Mashiach, our lifted up one, our anointed one, is the anti their anointed one. You see what I'm saying? So don't be fooled by these Christian or Islam titles of Dajjal and Antichrist. They're both pointing at King David. They're both pointing at the Kofar al Tarak. They're both pointing at the Prester. And you gotta get the fine print, man, because that's always the greatest flow, man. This confused geography has ancient and honorable roots. The first verse of the book of Esther describes the realm of the Persian king Arzorus, whose palace was on Susa and extended from India unto Ethiopia. In Greek and Roman authors, there's a similar vagueness. So this is vague geography about a vast region taken in by terms like, quote, India and Ethiopia. Well, we're seeing that clearly when we see India superior, Managa. We see clearly that there's a vagueness with their genealogy, or geography. And we know that India or China, all these are titles, and we see it right over here with us before it's over there with them. So it's like they took a snapshot and recreated their world, retitled everything over there to appear that it's the actual old world or promised land situation. That's why Tara Sancta today ain't Tara Sancta back in the day. China today ain't the same. Persia's not the same. India's not the same. Ethiopia's not the same. And Japan, my naga, is not the same. We're talking Kapangu. Kan. Let's get it, man. For the dismount, man. For the dismount. So we got a similar vagueness when it comes to Ethiopia. A similar vagueness when it comes to India. India and Ethiopia, the latter even in its narrowest sense comprising a much larger area than present-day Ethiopia. So the OG Ethiopia, the OG Abyssinia, is much larger than the present-day Abyssinia, Ethiopia, beginning just south of the first cataract of the Nile, and about its relationship with the better-known Persia in the apocryphal Acts of St. Thomas. The apostle moves easily between Persia and, quote, India, starting roughly with the 5th century apocryphal writer Pseudo-Abdias, who described the exploits of Apostle Thomas, Bartholomew, and Matthew in each of the 3 Indies. This later concept became a standard one in the Middle Ages. One of the 3 Indies faced, quote, Ethiopia. So that would be Africa today, quote, Ethiopia, right? So they're telling you where the 3 Indies are. One is facing that Ethiopia, right? According to Pseudo-Abdias, the second faced Persia, and the third occupied the ends of the earth. Where did they just find you at, my naga? Copper colored races found here by the European. You were found in the ends of the earth, in the further east, India, Orient, my naga. That's why they're telling us that there ain't no North America. That this is Cathay, that this is Mangi, right next to Florida. Oh, man. Yeah. This is what they saying, right? So one faced Africa, one faced Persia, and the other occupied the ends of the earth between the ocean and the realm of darkness, my nigga. That's you. That's where they're finding us. The third became especially fruitful for the geographical imagination. They call it America today, right? The region of untold islands, in which the plural term Indias etymologically is one and the same as Indies. So they say you're in the Indies, West Indies, Indies. They're talking Indias. Came to rest once and for all. There also were less mysterious, more valid definitions of the three Indias among medieval geographers, but for most Europeans, even learned Europeans, the term covered a vast and distant region of dark-skinned people. So if you're in an India, it's an area of dark-skinned people. If you're in an Ethiopia, it's a vast, vague area, distant region of dark-skinned people, culminating in a countless array of islands in one direction, and in Ethiopia, the biblical Kush in the other. So when we talk three Indias, Managa, when we talk India superior, this is not play. That they found you right here. Copper colored cons found here. Dark skinned people, right? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. At some point, you're going to have to get off your own play, America. Yeah, America. Some point, you're going to have to get off your own play. If they're saying it's a region of these dark-skinned people, and the color of copper, is that, what I'm saying, red, ruddy, rich, deep, brown copper, you know what I mean? And you know that these copper-colored cons, these natives, that these are these Ethiopians, that these are these Abyssinians, these are these Indians of the same India superior. Because where's North America? Does it exist, right? Does it exist, man? Does North America exist? I'm just surfing the wave. We just surfing the wave and press the 72. Wow. So if Kapangu is supposed to be right here between Florida and the mainland, right? This little gap. You know, if you're looking on these maps like this, it should be, this would be the area, Barbados and all that, and then Kapangu would be right in this pocket right here. You gotta ask yourself, where did it go? That they called it Japan. And is it still right here? Kapangu, the original Japan. And when they talk about the legends of Zapangu and this ancient connection with this name of Japan, and they call it HaWah, some call it Wak Wak, you know what I'm saying? The land of gold. Where did it go? Right? You see Mangi here, you see the same map, except they're not showing you Florida on this side. On this map, you see the same thing, but you see Florida. Here's Florida, Greenland, the whole flow. Cathay. So you got to choose up. You got to surf the wave, my nigga. The legend of Japan. They said they found tremendous quantities of gold. The king's palace's roof with pure gold. All this gold. The legend of Wak Wak, land of gold. Gold pan and rivers in Japan. Yeah, they got their whole flow around this thing. I'll leave this link again for you. And they want to talk about how Japan produced 255 tons of gold. And I'm just asking, like, they're getting these numbers, but which Japan, man? Which Japan? The one by Florida? Huh. Let's go. Yeah, man. We just talking to Nestorians. Nestorians. Named for old king. Renowned for wise counsel. Oh, he's a Nestorian Christian. Oh, he's an old king renowned for wise counsel. Gotcha. Let's dig on this monkey, man. This monkey is where you're seeing all this mangi or monkey. This mangi is also mangu. Also spelled Mongke. Monkey is Mongol Khan. And this is a specific Mongol Khan. He's born 1208. His brother is Kublai. If his brother is Kublai, who's his papa? Well, his grandpapa is Genghis. He's the heir of the Mongol Empire. So this monkey, also spelled Mangu, and we see it on all our maps as the Mangi, right? Spelled Mangi. This is Mangi Khan. On the Roosh map, again, Mangi right next to Tibet. But now we know something. Now we're starting to get the story. Why we see these names. Monkey, also spelled Mongu. They're saying he died 1259. Szechuan, grandson of Genghis Khan, elected Great Khan, 1251. Last man who held this title to be based in the capital of Karakorum in central Mongolia. Under his rule, the city achieved an unprecedented splendor, and the Mongol Empire continued to expand at a rapid rate. Its territory became so large and diverse that Manki was the last great Khan capable of exerting real authority over the Mongol conquest. Manki himself had won fame during Batu's western expansion and distinguished himself in the field. So is this Batu's son, Batu Khan, which became the Vatican? In the west, Manki's armies, led by his brother Hulegu, launched an attack on Iran, crushed the last resistance there. We're talking Persia. So where's the real Persia? The Mongols then advanced on Iraq, taking the capital Baghdad in 1258. From there, they moved to Syria, 1259, Damascus, and Aleppo. Like I said, we got to get on them Aleppo codexes, then reach the shores of the Mediterranean Sea. In the east, Manki's armies, under the command of his older brother, the famous Kublai, outflanked the Chinese in the south and captured the Thai kingdom of Nanchao, located in the present-day Yunnan province in China. Then they brought much of the present-day Vietnam under their suzerainty or authority. Meanwhile, the main Mongol forces began to advance against China proper. 1257, Manki took personal charge of his armies within China. Disease ravaged his flanks, and Manki died in the field. He was succeeded by his brother Kublai, who completed the conquest of China. Strict man Manki tried to preserve the old Mongol way. His contemporaries judged him to be a benevolent ruler. All right. So Manki or Mangu, saying was a good guy. He was a benevolent leader. And on these maps, like I said, he's popping up all over the place. But at least, it gives us, something to go off of, something to connect and to continue to recon further. This manga is also Mangu or Mangu Khan or Monkey. Monkey, huh? That's where they're getting the monkey drop, huh? All right. And again, on our maps, like the Roosh map, it's spelled M-A-N-G-I instead of M-O-N-K, C-K-E. You know what I mean? And it's right here. So they're saying he's the last great Khan holding down central Mongolia. Well, where's the real central Mongolia? And does North America exist, man? I mean, we're still talking the Western Xi, except these are Genghis Khan's folk, right? Because the Xi went to war with Genghis Khan in it. Genghis Khan rode up on the Xi. Let's get to these wars. Yeah, they got so much connectivity in the Mongol flow for the Nagas to surf the wave. Oh yeah, they talking about the Catan. We talking about the Kara Katai. This Catan or these Catan people are also the Cathay people, which are the same people. Now you can see the keywords and you can dig on it, man. You can keep digging. Let's talk Genghis. 17-year-old Kung Yoi succeeded his father, Emperor Renzong of the Western Xia, as emperor. Posthumously, Emperor Wanzong of the Western Xia, little besides the rise of Temujin. Right? Temujin is Genghis Khan. So little besides the rise of Genghis and his conflict with Western Xi is known about the Huangzong's reign, 1203. This is 1 year after they say Genghis Khan went to war with Prester John. Tagru was defeated by Temujin. Or, so they're putting it at 1203. Tagru is Wang Khan, Khan of the Carriots. He was the blood brother of the Mongol chief Yesugui. Served as an important early patron and ally to Yesugui's son, Temujin, later known as Genghis Khan. So what they don't know is that the Prester and Genghis used to, be side by side. David basically adopted Genghis into his tribe. Genghis wanted more. You know what I'm saying? Tends to happen. You know what I'm saying? You give a Naga a little bit, a Naga gonna want that much more. You know what I'm saying? It's just the curse that's within the Naga that you want to covet more and covet more. Prester John was giving him life. Genghis could have played his position. Genghis could have got that water. Instead, he wanted to be the Khan, right? He wanted to be the Khan. He was looking at Prester like, you know what, man, I could do a better job than the Prester, than King David himself, who was bred to do what he do, who flows in the water he's flowing in. Genghis Khan wanted all that. He wanted all that. And this is the conflict they're talking about. The conflict between Temujin and the Prester himself, popping off in real time. So the Moncave flow, is directly correlated with the Genghis flow. And the Genghis flow directly went against the Western Xi, who are the Olmec flow. And the Olmec called themselves the Xi, Managa, the same name that they used when they were in China. But then you gotta ask the famous question for the dismount, man. Who is China? And, we had our HaWah up the other day, you know what I mean? And it's a very important correlation that they're bringing in with this China. And we always get pieces of it for you, you know what I'm saying? Let's get a piece right here. Surfing the wave in China. Because China, just like Tangu, is not just a place name. It is a person. Tangu is a person. China is a person. Now they say he's a person that's living at the same time as Moshe. They say he's a person who's delivering his people, Mana. So who's China? This is out that HaWah flow, and we're gonna start trickling this back in with foundation. Foundation that we're getting from our flow. So, all right, let's just pick it up here, man. It's gonna be the best dismount of all time, man. Now it says history of China. They spell TSHCHIN apostrophe E, China, of Japheth, founder of China. Now, you're gonna have to dodge your own hijack. Just like with Mosaic, just like Moses. Just like Mosai, where Josephus, tries to hide him into the lineage, into the genealogy of Japheth. Could be doing the same thing with this China flow. Let's get a couple stanzas here. It says, these are the generations of 7 antecedents of China, the chosen of the Great Spirit, or Maz, otherwise in Phoenician, Olaya, that is to say Wong, beget Haiga, who beget Aso, who beget So Yong, who beget I Pei. All right, so they go with their own flow. Now he began Ashoi, or Tishukli beget Tishina Lo, or Shina Lo, who began Ashoi, who beget Shina, gifted in Suis and Sargis of 6 generations. Okay, it sounds biblical, right? Of these, So Young and Aso were prophets of what they call Jehovah or Maz. Of course, Dodger or hijack. So we're finding the connection really between this China flow and the Moses flow in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, according to the glossary in this OSP, they lived at the same time. And there's also somebody named Capilia, which you got to dig on. Of these are, So Young and Aso were prophets, and Asho was a seer, but the 6 generations could hear the voice, and they walked upright, keeping the code, right? Keeping the commandments of HaWah, as revealed in the Zoroastrian law. So, dodging all the hijack, they're keeping the code, they're lawgivers, they're walking upright. Ashoa was a basket maker after the manner of a man, the man Zarathustra, and China, his son. So Ashoa was a basket maker after the manner of the man Zarathustra, Zoroaster. And China, his son, was the fourth birth of Asho's wife, Song Hing. Like Moses, China was I didn't even see this coming, man. Of copper color, right? He's a copper colored Khan just like Moshe. And very large. But his hair was red like a fox, like red fox, huh? And he was bashful and a few words. So they're comparing him to Moshe. They're calling him copper colored, my naga. Come on, man. Come on. And Asho, i.e. China's father, said, I have had other sons, my words are wise and true. China was unlike any child born in the world, for boy, child or girl, child or physician could tell which, but rather to the boy kind was he. The angel of Jehovah, or HaWah, came to me before the birth and said, the child shall be called China, signifying no sex, as it is written among the ancients, Isu, having no earthly desires. So no sex didn't mean that they were transgender by the, it just meant that he didn't have those type of earthly desires. It's back to that chastity flow that we're digging on the nights, you know what I mean? And, these Arthurian stories of these chaste knights and all this stuff. So they're copying the story of these Isus, which is where they get Jesus, and they act like this Jesus character is the only Isu, or these original Isu, which had to do with these prophets that came without these earthly desires. For he shall restore the chosen people. The restoration Whereof I told the physicians before the birth, but they would not believe. Nevertheless, by command of HaWah, I sent forth 7 physicians to witness the birth, lest it be said afterwards, the surgeons have dealt wrongly with the child at his birth. Yeah, I'm just bringing you to the water and a little more at a time, connected with this China flow. Verse 18, for 4 years this great wisdom remained on him. So he had all this great wisdom, this great learning. Verse 17, and there came before him men of great learning, philosophers, to try him in his knowledge, just like Jesus the child, right? But they all went away confounded as if they were fools. Come on, man. More phantoms, more duplications. Neither was it possible to ask him a question he could not answer correctly, whether it was to read a tablet or to reveal the size and build of the temple he never saw, or the sickness of a man who was far away, for all things were to him as an open book. For 4 years this great wisdom remained on him, and his fame spread from east to west, from the north to the south. No man knew how far. When he was asked how far he could see and hear, he said, over all my land. China said, I could see everything. I could hear everything. And he marked with his finger, saying, on this tablet, China land. Thus was the country named China, which it bears to this day. Where's China? This is the great Khan of China. Cathay. Just like Moses, he's copper color. He's copper color. Who's the copper color Khan? What's the romance about? A knight? A hero? Or is the romance, my naga, about you? Copper color Khan. The true American. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, etymology. Okay. We just talking structure. All we've been doing, my naga, is building. So all you can do is walk in and, continue the flow, continue the mission. Get in where you fit in, you know what I'm saying? If it's structure we need, then it's structure you add by nature, because you're natural, right? You're the native. Yeah, man. You cannot correct a scorner. You cannot, try to communicate with a scoffer. It just leads to hate, which leads to temporary situations becoming permanent problems. Us being, some type of byword, that's temporary, because the copper color cons that were found here, not brought here to America, the copper races found here are the Moshe Mashika tribes, are the Chinese, knowing clearly that he's copper colored. Like Moses, China was copper colored. With red hair, I guess he's the red, ruddy, copper colored Naga too, right? Just like the Prester. Just like the Prester. It don't switch up, man. It don't change up, man. The copper color is the copper color car. Already here, right? Just like the Prester. This is the true copper color, my nigga. Oh yeah, Prester. Hey man, what a beautiful investigation to connect to the water of the priest king of the real China, Zoroaster, and copper color Moshe. Barbar, Hebrew word of the day. Who's the swan? The barber is the swan. When you see clearly that the barber is the swan, then you know that this swan night business is very serious. And these Barbary treaties are very serious. And they'll make it seem like the barber is about something in Africa and the barbarians and all that other stuff. But they're getting it from the Hebrew word swan. They're getting it in connection with these swans, my naga. These swan knights that are the barber. This fleet of ships, right? The ships of Solomon that are the swan boats. And the Hebrew word of the day is swan, barber, connected to all these wars, Chickamauga wars, and right before the Tecumseh War, you got the Barber War, right? The war with the swan, the war with the swan knight, my knock, or just Solomon in there, Dowie in there. We just talking Chickamauga. When we talk Tecumseh, we're talking one of the greatest priest kings ever. There's only one Tecumseh. There's only ever be, one pure water frequency like this that knew what the code is, that knew how to communicate it and stood for this particular union, this unity in code with HaWah, the true swans, the true dracons, the true Shimanoes, mana. There's only one Tecumseh. And for you, you are the Swan Knight, and there's only one of you. They try to make the Barbary Wars all about Africa, right? Many of the practiced states supported piracy in order to exact tribute from weaker Atlantic powers. This is history.state.gov for the dismount. Morocco was an independent kingdom. Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli owed a loose allegiance to the Ottoman Turks, which are the Moors, my nigga. All this is more. All this is more and more. The Barbary states in northern Africa, more and more, which became barbarians, right? The United States fought two separate wars with Tripoli, 1801, 1805, Algiers. All this until they made their treaty with the Morocco Sultan. Yeah. 1775, Day Muhammad of Algiers declared war on the United States. So this is all happening. 1775, this is well into the Chickamauga Wars. So you're telling me all this is happening while at the same time, you know what I'm saying? They're supposed to be in Africa fighting, but they're over here fighting the craziest, bloodiest wars they ever seen all these major wars is popping here, but we supposed to believe that, yeah, they're ignoring all that and they're fighting their Moorish war in Africa, right? Or is this northwest of Mexico? And is it all going down right here? All the real spill of it all with this Barbary war business. They make it seem like it's just about the, Confederacy going down with the Algiers and the Tripoli and all that. It says many European states commissioned privateers to attack each other's shipping and also participated in transatlantic slave trade. Yeah, they're enslaving Hebrews. They're all working together. The two major European powers, Great Britain and France, found it expedient to encourage Barbary states' policy and pay tribute to them, as it has allowed their merchant shipping an increased share of Mediterranean trade. And Barbary leaders chose not to challenge the superior British or French navies prior to independence. American colonists had enjoyed the protection of the British Navy. However, once the United States declared independence, British diplomats were quick to inform the Barbary states that U.S. ships were open to attack. So during this, Chickamauga situation and, them declaring the 1776 independence, they're getting free from black royalty and they lost some of their black protection and they had to regain it through another treaty. Now, pay attention, 1785, you got Muhammad of Algiers. He declared war against the United States. He captured several American ships. The financially troubled Confederation government of the United States, right? That's what they were called back then because they were paying tribute to the Moors, my noggin, for helping them set up because it was a more and more war, my noggin. Unable to raise a navy. So this United States had no navy. They were unable to raise a navy. This is recent history. They act all big and bad today, but a couple hundred years ago, that's why everybody's laughing today. Y'all didn't have no navy. The Moors had to get y'all set up. You had to do these treaties, right? They were unable to raise a navy that would protect the U.S. ships. In contrast to the dispute with Algiers, U.S. negotiations with Morocco went well. So Algiers, were having beef with, but Morocco, they were cool with. I mean, go figure, right? Moroccan Sultan Sidi Mohammed had seized a U.S. merchant ship in 1784 after the United States had ignored diplomatic overtures. However, Mohammed ultimately followed a policy of peaceful trade, and the United States successfully concluded a treaty with Morocco in 1786. However, Congress was still unable to raise the funds to satisfy the Dey of Algiers. They still couldn't pay their dues, man. They had no navy, they couldn't pay their dues, and they just did a brand new treaty in 1786 on the head bone of Dragon Canoe and the Chickamauga and Tecumseh and all of you Ibaru and the Swan Knights. Managa, it's all happening. This ain't about no North Africa situation. This is about an American situation. We ain't fooled no more about where this is happening, what's going on, that you fighting for the promised land. I mean, this history is cray-cray when you bring it all into perspective. And I'll leave this link so you can get all the drama. Finally they got a little navy and they, start trying to push up on people. The Barbary states, although they did not capture any more U.S. ships, began to resume raids in the Mediterranean. Despite punitive British bombardments, did not end their practices until the French conquest of Algeria in 1830. Yeah. The U.S. Navy greatly increased in size after the War of 1812? How could they increase in size after the War of 1812? Whose war was it anyway? Managa, you talking to Kumse, right? This is the last stand of the Israelites, Ka. And after this, they increase. They got all this splendor. They got all these ships. Their navy's intact. They're popping off. This was a turning point where we made our last stand and not everybody stood with Tecumseh. So if you're popping off your black Indian tribe, and I'm asking you, where were you when we needed you? I'm pointing to this point in history, my Naga. When Tecumseh didn't have all the tribes fighting the hijack, he had to fight against his own people who sided with these treaties, such as the Choctaw. Managa, Tecumseh had to fight against the Choctaw. The Choctaw were fighting against the Creek, against the Seminole, and against the Chickamauga because they wanted to be on the other side of the More War, and that's just one example. You want to be a black Indian tribe today, you better pay atonement for your people, because without their support, it all went to the hijack. And you see us fighting ever since. You see us fighting ever since. And we're going to get on these Philippines because we started touching on it. You know by now that we're just talking about you. Banana Wars is you, and World War II is you. Vietnam and Managa, that's you too. But it all starts right here and, really picks up right here. It starts starts way earlier than that. We're talking 1200s. We're talking 12th century. Yeah. This is what's going on. We talk Barbar. Quest of the Dragon and Bird Clan. Great link I'll leave for the Dismount Apocalypse, Swan Knight, and the Crusades. Turning a bit more to esoteric matters, the legend of the Swan Knight, it has been mentioned, was included in the genealogy of the famous leader of the First Crusade, Geoffrey of Bouillon. William of Tyre, around the year 1170, was the first to mention this connection. We pass over initially the fable of the swan, although many people regard it as a fact that from it he had his origin, because this story seems destitute of truth. From this quote, we can surmise that the story of Godfrey's descent from the Swan Knight was already current, and that there were many people who took it quite serious, although William of Tyre was not one of them. The latter, who was Archbishop of Tyre, was raised in Jerusalem when that city was co-ruled by Melisende, the daughter of Godfrey of Buillion's cousin Baldwin II. The legendary Crusader history, known as the Crusade Cycle, beginning shortly after William of Tyre wrote the statement above, appeared to have been composed by those believers in the Swan Knight story, whether fictional or at least partly based in truth. The Swan Knight origin of Godfrey de Bouillon can be shown to have links with the millennial thought that pervaded Europe in the period leading up to the First Crusade. And yeah, they popped off the Crusades looking for the Prester. I said they're looking for the Prester, man. This is the man they're looking for 500 years. We're talking Swan Knights. We're talking heroes, which means we gotta be talking romances, love to the Templar, for the dismount, man. I've been, really looking forward to, digging on, so much of this connection with these romances as we got before. When you look at this Wolfram van Etchenbach's Arthurian poem, the Arthurian history is the David history. is the Prester flow put into a fable form. They talk about this fairies, fees. He is half brother of Parsifal's, the story's hero, right? We're talking romance. He is the child of their father, Galmaret's first marriage to the Moorish queen, Bella Kane. Let's go. They just throw it in your face, ball, right? You talking about Nagas, this Moorish queen, and equals his brother in knightly ability because his father was white and his mother black. Farafiz's skin consists of black and white patches. Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. His appearance is compared to that of a magpie or a parchment with writing on it, though he is considered very, very handsome, man. While serving the Baroque of Baldock, French knight Galmaru defends Bellicane, queen of the heathen nation of Zazamat, from her enemies. The two marry and she soon becomes pregnant with fair fees. Bellicane will not allow her husband to participate in tournaments, so he leaves one night and travels to Spain to seek knightly combat in secret. Before he can go back, he learns that his brother, the king of Anjou, has died, leaving him to inherit the kingdom. Returning to Europe, he marries Hertz of Wales, and she bears him Parsifal. He dies soon after, a result of dark magic used against him in a joust against or outside of Baghdad, and is acknowledged as the finest knight of his time. And of course, they start bringing us in to the Holy Grail, right? They identify themselves, and after realizing they are brothers, they embrace and go. So Parsifal, realize he's brothers with his fair fees, right? Now he's with the huge Saracen army, and what do we say a Saracen's head is looking like, my nugget, right? Again, you're talking copper colored cons right in your face. They say Saracen. They say the lost tribes of Israel, Saracens, Manag. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. We talking romances, Khan. We talking romances, Khan. So he's leading this large Saracen army, right? You got this Moorish mother, right? All right. While there, the Grail servant Kundry arrives to take Parsifal to the Grail castle, and Parsifal invites Pharisee to join him. Parsifal heals the Fisher King Antifortes and becomes the new Grail King. Right? So it's all about the Holy Grail. And we got before that the Grail is not just a cup, it is a function. The function is the Prester. The Prester is the function, and the Grail is the function, is the Prester. It is revealed that Pharisee cannot see the Holy Grail because he is not a Christian. Or we're just talking about being in code as a Hebrew. He agrees to be baptized, or we're talking fountain of youth. And as soon as he is renounces his heathen god Jupiter, he can see the Grail. So who's the heathen god? Jupiter. Who's the heathen god today? Jesus. Who is Zeus? Zeus. Who is Zeus? Jupiter. Who's the heathen god? Jupiter. Have they denounced Jupiter? Have they denounced Zeus? No, they just put him in Christianity, right? But now that he renounces this heathen, he's KTC. He got to drop his idols so he can see the Grail. Fair Fees and his new wife return to his lands in the east. Rapunzel, his wife, gives birth to Prester John, and they preach Christianity. Oh man! So King David's preaching Christ. Oh, okay, God, come on, die. Just know that Prester John is all up in the romances, man. And they keep putting him in different characters, and they keep changing. Parsifal is the grandson of Prester. Parsifal is the son of the Prester. They throw it all over the place, but they're letting you know that it's all about the Holy Grail, renouncing your heathen gods, And it's all about the Prester, man. When you talk Parsifal, HaWah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Let's see if I can get this link back up. Here we go. Here we go. You might pick it up right here in the thick of things. In this Parsifal, the legend of the Holy Grail. Oh yeah. You know, which has a lot of drop in it. It connects things from the Japan flow to the Egypt flow, you know what I mean? To the Ibaru flow, the legend of the Holy Grail. You see these contents for the dismount. AI for enjoying a nice, refreshing dip in the fountain, dip in the water in Prester John 72. You know, digging on the monkeys, the lost tribes, the promised land, China, the deliverer, the Barbary wars, man. You know, digging on, a little bit of the Zoroaster flow, which is great. And of course, just connecting, everything that's already out there as ingredients for us to connect. So much we've connected so far. This investigation is about structure. This investigation is about building. Oh boy, what's this, man? This is a depiction of primitive man. Oh, well, you know what this looks like. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't you. That ain't you, man. These are those splices and dices. When you talk about Parsifal, the Holy Grail, the production of Richard Wagner's musical, right? So they did everything. They did everything to try to get the word out about this Prester. They made it a musical. A romance, the tales of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table not only contribute at this time some of the chief ornaments of literature and art, they also, as I have said centuries ago, form the chief foundation of European romantic literature. So this Prester John flow, now that you know, is the original of the Arthurian flow. It's the original of the foundation. It's the chief foundation of Europe's literature. Before then were numerous classics and pseudo-classic romances, but these were exotics and not native products of Western Europe. They're exotic because they're American. The great legend of Beowulf perhaps antedated them a little, and so did the Nibelungen Lied in its noblest primitive form, uncontaminated by the later monstrosities of Heldenbuck, so dear to the Wagnerian heart. But neither of these, either then or since, attained popularity or exerted the widespread influence of the Arthurian tales. Yet Arthur and Lancelot and Merlin and Guinevere have become household words among millions who have scarcely so much as heard as Siegfried and Grimdelhide. I mean, they're just letting you know that this is foundational recon. I mean, just to really dig, what I'm saying, on what's inside of these romances, right? It's going to blow your mind, man, when you connect these hidden gems that I know they hid within in his Historia and his Merlin, 1136 to 39. He set down some of the round table stories, though he made no mention of either Tristram or Lancelot, who are far more important figures in the romances than Arthur himself. About 1155, Wace, W-A-C-E, the Norman poet, a native of the island of Jersey, translated Joffrey's, remember Joffrey of Monmouth, this fake genealogy he made, his historian into French verse and made some additions to it, but supplied no new characters. The tale of Tristan or Tristan appears to have been first put into permanent form 1160 by Luc de Gas, a minstrel of French ancestry, but English by birth, who lived near Salisbury. Last part we'll get is this. Closely following these early romancers came a far greater one, for whom they merely prepared the way, and who may be regarded as the chief founder of Arthurian literature, and indeed of a whole school of British romance, man. And they keep talking about Arthurian this, Arthurian that. And for the dismount, I mean, what did Keegan Brewer have to say about this Arthurian flow? I'm gonna get this drop, man, and I'm gonna pop off and make some flapjacks for my tribe. I hear them popping off. Hey, top of the soul, my niggas. We done did it again. We keep doing it again. Yeah, man. The exact date of his writings is not known, but there are good reasons for believing that he wrote his Lancelot in his early life between 1165 and 1170. Now, wasn't the Prester John letter also wrote at this time? We just talking Arthurian folklore, right? A little later, probably 1170 to 75, Map wrote his Parsifal, and the quest of the Holy Grail. To him, we must give credit of having first put Lancelot, Parsifal, and the Holy Grail into enduring literature. And with one possible exception, all other writers on those themes must be regarded as followers of him. Yeah, okay. So you got Joseph of Arimathea that Robert wrote. This Robert de Borin. You got the history of the Holy Grail. Of course, repeated theme. Parsifal, the hero, repeated theme. They just keep repeating the same thing. But it all popped off, like they said, from this Joffrey of Monmouth, who created this fake genealogy under King Arthur, which was really King David. You dig? We just talking about the Prester. That transformation was made by Wolfram von Eschenbach, who thus adopted the Arthurian legends into German literature. Again, Arthurian legends. Wolfram was still younger contemporary of Map and the others, flourishing in the reign of Emperor Frederick de Barbarossa. In the closing years of the 12th century and opening part of the 13th, he was an impoverished nobleman, a vassal of the court of Worthing. All right, so the more they keep talking about what is Arthurian, the more we keep, tuning in. They try to implement their JC, right? That's the Holy Grail situation, man. But, all this, man, is romantic. Because the Holy Grail has nothing to do with none of that, narrative that they tried to pull later. This Holy Grail had everything to do with this function. And this function is what's being repeated, what's being clarified, through our code, especially today. But all they could do back then was try to put it in romantic form about this knight, about this hero. And I would love to dig on this Joseph of Arimathea. You already know that's going to connect so much drop. This tutorial, I'm just being quick right here, but the tutorial, just like Parsifal, is going to flow when you just recon tutorial, Prester John, you know what I'm saying? Holy Grail. And just keep following the lead, man. You know what I'm saying? We got some beautiful leads here for you to follow. You see, it's going to be a cakewalk. I mean, a cakewalk for us to get to Prester John 100, man. 100. Because my Naga, we already won. And at this point, this is a victory lap for the Con. Parsifal vowed to become one of Arthur's knights and then to avenge her upon Aurelius. On his further way, he met a knight in red armor who jeered at him and bade him carry to Arthur a message of defiance. Parsifal delivered the message and was banteringly told by Arthur that if he could go back and conquer the Red Knight, he might have his horse and armor. Parsifal went back, found the knight, and slew him. And man, it gets real with these heroes. It gets real in these romances. And so won the horse and the armor. After that, he spent some time as the guest and pupil of a brave old knight, Gur-Neman, and learned from him all the arts of chivalry. In time, he was summoned forth to succor of Queen Condoriamur, who was besieged in her capital, Bel Ripar. He overthrew her enemies, and then he married her. Okay. Oh, man. You just keep seeing them mention the same theme about the Grail. And this whole connection, like we keep saying, goes right back to the intro, goes right back to the top of things when we talk about the Arthurian history that Joffrey of Monmouth, seems to be trying to, slide up into our reality, try to create a reality for us, you know what I'm saying, in real time. And we know that it all starts with the origin, the original ones. It all starts with the Presters. And to be in the same water, walking the same footsteps, man, popping off side by side with the Khan of Khans. They can't hide it no more, man. They can't fake it no more. They can't, create these false genealogies on the Naga's head bone no more. Again, what did Keegan Brewer say over here in the intro about this Joffrey of Monmouth with his fake ass genealogy? Oh, man. But there was another relatively new school of British history headed by writers like Geoffrey of Monmouth who created a false genealogy of kings through the line of a certain King Arthur. These histories were to be abhorred for their obvious falsehoods, according to William. It was a historian's duty, William said, to prevent the spread of such fallacious nonsense being propagated by the likes of Geoffrey, a man who had an uncontrollable passion for lying. Geoffrey's method was suspect, for in writing his history, all he was doing was taking up infantile stories of British folklore, adding them considerably from his own imagination, and cloaking them with the honorable title of history by embellishing them with the Latin tongue. At the end of his lengthy refutation of Geoffrey and his new school of Arthurian history, William poses the following question. Is he dreaming of another world containing infinite kingdoms in which those things which he recounted earlier actually happened? This is the question that we must be asked. This is the question that must also be asked of the Prester John legend. The figure of Prester John, priest and king, ruled over a marvelous Oriental empire and held a firm grip on the Middle Ages, just like the legend of King Arthur. Yeah, it looks like Joffrey done hijacked the story of the Prester into what they call romances, right? And now this Arthurian history, which ain't nothing but a sham, is a false genealogy of kings, false genealogy of the Prester, false genealogy of the line of you, your bloodline, that he put through King Arthur as a romance. But you cannot stop the drop, and you cannot duplicate the Prester. This is Prester John, installment 72. HaWah. We did it again. Shabbat up. Scoffers beware. Scorners back. There ain't no escaping your frequency. There ain't no escaping that negativity. There ain't no escaping your doubting of HaWah and doubting of the code. Keep on scoffing. Keep on scorning, my naga. And let HaWah work. Ain't the water for surfing away with me. Because you already know, my naga. We over here surfing away with you. Just seeing clearly that you are who they're searching for. You're who they're trying to track down. But please know, Shemaiah rose. He tried to be slick about it. But at the end of the day, just know all the wickedness which your heart is privy to, scoffers and scorners, that you did what you did to David, man, what you did to the Prester, shall return upon your own head bone. David's last words, man. Ain't nothing slide with the Prester, man. And those scorners and those scoffers, Proverbs chapter 9, love to our Amma, Ahab to our Abba. Yeah. We got to deal wisely, right? Wisdom has built her house. And if wisdom's built her house, that means she has something called, structure, which is the act of building. And the minute mama is building with you, the minute mama got you in the flow, mama has built her house. Mama got the structure. If you don't see it, then it's not for you. And by the time you want to scoff and scorn, hey, mama say, don't try to correct. Don't try to reprove no wicked man. You feel that wicked vibration on these, you know what I mean? They just want to be something they're not. And I think that really tears them apart, that they can never be you. They can never be us. They can never be me. They can never be the Prester. All they can do is scoff and scorn, but correct them not. Nah, it becomes to him a blot. Reprove a scorning, nah, not. Lest he hate you. Reprove a wise man, and he will love you. Give to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. And teach a righteous man, and he will increase. So be careful who you're teaching. Be careful who you are reproofing or correcting. If they're not wise, don't even waste your time. If they're not righteous, Don't even waste your energy. We will increase in our learning. The fear of HaWah is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the All-Holy is understanding. Allow HaWah. Keep surfing the wave. Don't give up, my Naga. We right there. You know what I'm saying? Don't you give up, my Naga, because we right there. Ain't no stopping us now. The water continues. Keep the water flowing and keep your fire burning and dodge all hijacks at all costs. Because we got a mark to hit. We got a fence to build. My Nagas is still putting in for the fence, knowing we got a long way to go. Allow HaWah, we gonna get there together. We already over a goal, and we know we got so many beautiful endeavors, man, on this land to have, and many other pieces. We get new land every year. We're building different places, and we're tribbing up in real time. Hot Mahogany, love for your continued contribution. Hey, Mahogany said what? Mahogany said what? Supporting the cause and the will of the Most High. Eric May say what? It's up to us to look out for us because we one tribe, one vibe on the same frequency, living within the original code of our ancestors and dodging all hijack. You know how we do it. KTC forever, the Most High over everything. Allow HaWah, MHOE. Tracy, you got the drop. My Nagas, we popping off. Click the link below. Please help us build our fence, continue our structure, and keep the water flowing.